Welcome to the Smite Update Show. This is 9-4. This is the Jade Emperor. We are so excited to be here. It's going to be a crazy show. We have balance we're going to go over. We have skins to show off. We have Yu Huang, brand new god. But we're just going to dive right into balance. This is a huge show. We have a ton of stuff to talk about because this is the Nerf patch. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not joking. This is crazy. There's so many things that are changing. I mean, AJ, you want to start us off?
I do. Thank you. Good to be back in the studio, by the way. Haven't been here in quite a long time. Haven't done a live show in person in quite a long time. Hello, everyone out there in Smite Land. It's good to see you again. It's going to be so much better than sitting at home all the time and kind of accidentally talking over each other because of latency. Hold on, screen freeze.
You're so right.
Okay, we're back. So today is a special update. It's not just because of a new god or because of all these fun things that Dandy listed, but this is a very uniquely done update, a complete philosophical change.
It's a big one.
And a massive number of individual changes.
I mean, Smite needed a philosophical change.
In 9.4, the Jade Emperor update is a nerf patch, as we're calling it. So we have over 20, or like my final count, excuse me if this is not exactly correct, but 29 total individual gods being nerfed. Every single one. 29.
Okay.
37 different items individually nerfed. That is including their glyphs, though. So like Ratatouille, both glyphs, that's 3 items.
Okay.
Also 8 relics, so that's 2 relics, all 4 upgrades, and 2 reworks in this update.
Wow.
We've been seeing a lot of community feedback about the overall damage in the game and the pacing in the game.
Okay.
We want to take that seriously. We want to take steps to address it.
Interesting.
Today is the big first step towards that. We started with looking at what are the most powerful, most highly prioritized gods in every class and every role, as well as every item. And we went through that one at a time, taking all of the top picks, all of the top items across every role, every class, and nerfing their.
This is a panic patch. I mean, this is good.
One or two of their
but this is a panic patch. This is them literally looking at the player base drop off and being like, holy
read
crap.
This on the patch notes. There's a nice
people aren't playing Smite.
Lengthy explanation of dev notes from me, as well as our scientific method, our process for how we worked through this patch. We know that people wanted changes across many things in the game, but Smite is a collection of individual things, so we had to go through them individually. So if we're going to go through a whole lot of things individually, we might as well have a methodology to it. Start with the most powerful ones, go through every class and every role, make sure we hit the most popular ones, most powerful ones in every role, and apply those nerfs. Let me see if I have anything else in my notes here. I apologize, because there's a lot to keep track of in this patch. I cannot memorize all of it.
Incredible.
They turned it up. They turned up the mics,
generally, our methodology was to evaluate the highest pick ban. So we're looking for the most participation from a god or an item. Then we kind of contrasted that with its win rate and its damage output or power value to kind of determine the magnitude of the nerf. We did nerf item power and god damage whenever possible, but there were some exceptions. Sometimes we nerf some self buffs that might contribute to power, or some passives that do bonus damage, etc. There also are some defensive nerfs because we wanted to kind of we wanted to create this shift lower in damage, but we also wanted to bring everything down. So there are a few tank items also getting nerfed. There are also potentially many characters that you might think, oh, this character should have been buffed. Like, I really think this character could have used a buff. No, not in this update.
It's like no buffs, right? Nerf update.
None. So there was some gods we would have had some great buffs for, we think. We have some good ideas for them. But the way they're kind of getting buffed is indirectly because all of their competition is theoretically getting nerfed. If they are, competing with the gods that are getting nerfed today. So I think with that, let's get into it. We got a long list of things to go through, so let's move.
Yeah, that was easy to digest. I'm sure you got all that. If you didn't, the update notes are live now again with all this information. So we're going to really rattle through this. There's so much that we have to go through. We're going to block everything off, and we're going to give it to you, give you the highlights of everything. So we're going to start off with some relic changes. So Belt of Frenzy, Greater Belt of Frenzy, Belt of Insatiable Hunger, Belt of the Berserker, Bracer of Radiance, and Greater Bracer of Radiance, along with Bracer of Brilliance, Bracer of Illumination. All getting nerfs. All nerfs all the time.
Presumably to damage.
So these relics are specifically the ones that provide team damage or power buffs. So when we're having concerns with the total damage output in the game, particularly late game, but we've even seen recent strategies where people are buying the level 1 Frenzy.
Popping that clear wave.
So all of these items are being nerfed because of specifically their strong damage output.
Level 1 Frenzy, clear wave strong.
This is a little bit different from the rest of the methodology, but these relics we felt were significant contributors to the burst damage effect currently in Smite, So these are just getting nerfed across the board.
Also,
all
like,
of them.
burning down fire giants
We'll be,
and
of
stuff
course,
in like 2
like
seconds.
all of these items and all of these gods today, we'll be
obviously
reviewing the
contributes to
results, the data, the feedback, see how things go after the changes, and see if we need to adjust accordingly.
Right, because we want to make sure that relics are diverse and everyone can kind of choose between the different ones. If this leads to kind of a stale meta for relics, then that's okay. That's a different issue we can address later.
Yeah.
This is all about power.
Right.
It's a little bit hard when it's like you get to wave and you have to pop frenzy
Next up,
or
we're kind of
lose.
getting into the general mage area. So we
Bologna.
have Rod of Tahuti, Calamitous Rod of Tahuti, Nimble Rod of Tahuti, Divine Ruin, and Spear of Deso.
And Chronos
all getting
Pendant.
nerfed. And Chronos Pendant, you're right. All getting nerfed down. Clumsy, what's with the mage stuff?
Yeah, I think those ones are kind of
Powders.
self-evident. With the Rod of Tahuti, we had the new glyphs coming into them. Obviously, Rod of Tahuti was a pretty high-statted power item. But then again, as you guys have talked about and as we've seen, some of these pen items, specifically Spear of Desolation and Divine Ruin, have not only had their flat pen, depending on how much we're at
a lot of
at the
magical
moment, but
power
they've also
going
increased
down.
in power over time. So here we are decreasing
Power
all of that.
here,
Chronos
power
Pendant,
there,
as well as
power everywhere.
maybe you don't see it as often in the high-level ranked, but it is extremely popular, and already over time it's gained power. So we're bringing all of that down. The top end for mage items all being reduced in their power.
Chronos Pendant is the most purchased magical item in the game.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
It's good.
Number one.
Yeah. So that's not all for mages. For those mages that like to move quickly and attack quickly, we also have Telkine's Ring and Ring of Hecate also getting nerfed, just like everything else. So AJ, what's with the rings?
Yeah, smaller section here. Mage ADCs
bit, yeah.
are not necessarily a big concern right now, but they do have very high damage output. They were very meta only a short time ago.
they're
we wanted to go ahead
nerfing
and
those
take some
items
top
for
end,
sure.
Of stats off of their items as well.
10 power off of pretty
this
much
patch,
everything. Every
we're
once in a
hitting
while with 20 power.
Everything.
Everything.
There's probably some things that people might say are going to get nerfed too hard or not hard enough. That's okay. That's reasonable. We're looking forward to that feedback, but we're gonna learn and act on that in the future. But for today, we're going all over the game. So Mage ADCs also getting some nerfs, and again,
Works for
Hunters
me.
will be getting them as well. So
Yeah.
just because they're both getting nerfed, we'll see. Maybe Mage ADCs end up coming back because their competition gets nerfed too.
Yeah, again, nerf central. We are everything that we read here. It's going to be a nerf. We're bringing it all down.
And we only hit those 2 rings, of course, but if we looked, we did talk about other mage itemization, and there's a very high chance that mage ADCs are going to be purchasing into one of the flat pen options or Nimble Rod of Tahuti, for example. So they're getting hit in multiple places.
Yeah. And again, this is an iterative process. We're doing this. We're going to see how it turns out, and we're going to keep going. We're going to make this. We're going to take y'all's feedback and.
We're
do
seeing
everything
a
we
lot,
can
so
with
this
it.
is some of the
So
magical
next up, we have kind of a
nerfs.
warrior block. We have Caduceus Shield, Breastplate of Valor, Breastplate of Determination, as well as Breastplate of Vigilance, Ancile, Mystical Mail, Bulwark of Hope, and Hide of the Nemean Lion. So bunch of warrior items getting touched as well, and
less protection,
less
protection.
Yeah, so we kind of have 2 or 3 things going on here. We have a couple of these warrior items that are a little bit of the hybrid ones that provide different stats and a little bit of power. Maybe more power than you'd expect. So again, going alongside with the patch, we're bringing that power a little bit lower. Now then there's the breastplates. Breastplates are going to be losing some of the physical protections because they don't really have
Power
much
and
power going
hybrid
on there.
items is always
But they
a good
gained a
idea.
lot of value with the glyphs. Breastplate is one of the most popular glyphs.
Passive damage
Obviously
from
the 2 ones,
mystical.
Determination and Vigilance. So we think bringing down how strong they are based on their physical protections is going to make them slightly less valuable, right? We might see a little bit less of them, but we're still happy with breastplate as a whole.
There it is.
Mystical Mail is going to be getting a change to
Nemean
its
only blocks
passive, which is effectively
50%
still
of basic
damage across
attack
the board
damage.
for the,
It's at
for
the
the
full
full
100%.
Absolutely, yeah.
There
And
you
you've seen us
go.
nerf
That's
Mystical
a
Mail and
great
adjust it
change.
before. We're going to be keeping an eye on that one to make sure it's still okay. Bulwark of Hope and other items like that, similar to Breastplate, as we talked about earlier, power needs to come down, but we need to make sure that the top end of protections is also coming down a little bit. It's really bringing the the top end for everyone down, because if we just did power everywhere and we didn't touch protections, we're going to probably lead ourselves into a tank
We are
battle.
nerfing power more than protection.
Yes, we are, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're very well aware that we need to make sure that we don't just run around with these protection items just being the meta, right? Everyone's just picking up protection items no matter
And this
what.
hide change is real spicy.
And the hide change is the last one, which is something that you might not have seen coming, but from the higher level play, we have a lot of these people saying that block stacks are extremely potent, and yes, they are. The new hide change, you may not have gotten a chance to play around with it that much, but getting 3 full block stacks, I guess we have to call them partial versus full or some sort of terminology.
Soft block stacks.
Soft block stacks. We now have a new way of changing how much you're getting the efficacy of a block stack, right? Previously, you'd be reducing a full amount of basic attack. Now you're getting a partial reduction.
Yeah, so entirely new tech that we could apply elsewhere too.
Yeah.
There you go. So if you guys like
Love
it, if this is useful, maybe we need to buff hide in case this was too heavy a nerf, because previously it was binary. You got a full block stack, you had nothing. Now you're somewhere in the middle, and we can apply this more often.
Clumsy's so handsome.
It's incredible how changing things like this can give us new tech, and we're like, wow, there's a whole other opportunity for us to change other items in the future.
Yeah.
So really exciting stuff. Next up, we're getting into those scary jungle assassins, keeping them from being as one-hit potential as sometimes they can feel.
New opportunity.
And we're doing that by touching the Crusher, Hydra's Lament, Jotun's Wrath, Jotun's Ferocity, Jotun's Vigor, and Serrated Edge.
So Crusher's
more
kind of
attacks.
we're seeing a lot on Hunters as well right now.
They do not want that to be a Hunter
in the list of things. That attack speed nerf is going to be actually targeting Hunters a good bit as well. But it's going to affect junglers for sure. Hydra's Lament has recently got a big change earlier this season, so it's a lot more popular now. Bringing that total bonus damage down.
Will still be really strong.
Jotun's Wrath, similar thoughts as other glyphs. It got new glyphs, and so therefore it got some new power, bringing it down. And a Serrated Edge is just like kind of the like catch-all jungler item right now. Power, pen, a lot of things going for it. Movement speed, so we're bringing just the base power down across the base and the passive. So when that all stacks up,
I guess the whole point is everything's getting nerfed, so like the actual builds themselves probably won't change that much. They just
total power even off that item, so pretty significant nerf there. A little less total jungler items. We did see in a lot of our data and feedback that junglers from season 8 to 9 had smaller damage spikes than other classes, and also were often described as being a little bit behind in the total map farm. So junglers maybe got a little bit lighter nerfs here in the itemization, but as we said, still everybody getting nerfed, so they still got some, and we still nerfed what we identified as their most prevalent items.
Yeah, and again, that's the thing. Even if it's like, well, they're not the most powerful, but they're still all right. Or like, we wanted to touch everything. We want to make everything feel a little more sane, I guess, would be a good way to say it. So some of those damage items, some of the top damage items for them, down just a little bit. Next up, we're going into the Hunter world. So for Hunters,
it does seem to be just a massive
Bow, Wind Demon, Deathbringer, and Venom Deathbringer, and Malicious Deathbringer. All of those getting touched as well. Clumsy, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, Hunters are in a similar vein, but there's also a lot of cross-itemization, like we talked about with Crusher. I mean, even Hydra's Lament, we're seeing on a couple of these Hunters as well. Jotun's
mostly
too.
Attack
Deathbringer is a similar case with a lot of these glyph items. In fact, you might have seen a lot of these actually being targeted because they were probably a little bit too strong on their top end. We chose items that were probably going to be prevalent in a lot of these builds. Deathbringer and Venom Deathbringer specifically is, they're all quite strong. So keep an eye. There might be further nerfs there too. But we also wanted to make sure that we keep an eye on how the Hunters builds are playing out right now. In fact, you might even see that they're not extremely high power focused. There are a lot of utility stats. There's a lot of lifesteal, there's a lot of attack speed, so we wanted to focus some of those. Aussie and Atlanta's and Wind Demon, those are 3 extremely popular item builds right now for Hunters. So those ones definitely needed to go down in their stats. But if you actually look at them individually, they don't have that much power themselves. It's the different efficiencies that they provide to the Hunter. So that's why we address them in different ways. So Wind Demon, as a passive duration, you can say that's power coming off it in a different way. Aussie and Atlanta's Bow with the lifesteal and the attack speed, it's powerful for Hunter in a different mechanism. But Deathbringer, one of the core luxury items, absolutely we can just take the physical power off straight from that.
Okay.
All right, so many things we've gone over, so many. We're moving into now the block that makes me the most sad because I am a Guardian
might
lover.
actually transition the Hunters over kind of
into
the
Transcendence as well. We're going to bring the power down.
Honestly.
We want to bring everything down just a little bit so that we don't see, like they said, kind of that Guardian spike. Don't want to be constantly steamrolled in lane by Atlas, which is what I would do if I could. So we're going to see Pridwin, Sovereignty, Heartward Amulet, Amulet of Silence, Amulet of Stronghold, Celestial Legion Helm, Vamp Shroud, and the Mantle of Discord, all getting touched from the Guardian role.
So there's a few different sub-archetypes within this. So Pridewin, probably one of the most meta items. This shield also translates to the explosion damage, so this is a nerf on both regards, which is really good. Sovereignty and Heartward just taking small shaves of physical or magical protection, kind of as part of our overall net decrease. And again, they're taking smaller nerfs than most of the other builds of aggressive classes are. Celestial Legion Helm and Vamp Shroud are more specifically solo lane
pretty
Guardian
small
items,
taps
and
on
those
these,
do have power that matters.
Oh yeah.
And those are getting power nerf, both of which should be pretty significant because we're seeing solo lane Guardians be pretty prevalent right now. So
that's a bigger
the Vamp
nerf.
Shroud specifically is a pretty big nerf to a starter item. 10 power off of a starter item is pretty heavy. So hoping to bring a little bit more balance back between Guardians and Warriors in the solo lane, as well as just decrease that Guardian damage. Mantle of Discord is something that's good for everyone, so also a good one to nerf.
Of course.
That item just brings a lot of powerful effects to it. So I think it's about time it got this.
That's a pretty big nerf too.
And the interesting
20
thing
seconds on the passive.
Vamp Shroud is one of the only starters that we're looking at right now. But I think that's something that's been really important to see, especially in the high level, right? We've had a couple of weeks of SPL play, and we're seeing Guardians kind of dominating. Vamp Shroud, we know, is really, really a heavy hitter for them, and they're getting that right off the bat. Because a lot of these other power changes we wanted to make sure would address, kind of the mid to late game. This one was very, very early game focused, and this might be a problem for like Vamp Shroud for maybe the other laners who want to pick this up for like mid mages, but that's something we can address at a later time. We wanted to make sure not to stifle
mid mages haven't bought Vamp Shroud.
Well, I think a really important thing here to note is that this was a new process for us.
Yes,
very new.
Very.
Like ever.
We are 100% open to continuing this into future updates.
Oh yeah.
So one of the things, like Clumsy mentioned, this is the only starter item. We have been looking at starter items. We are open to nerfing starter items in the next update if we need to, if we feel like that's necessary as well. There's also conquest changes, which we're going to get into a little bit here. But our next update after this, the 9.5 update, is going to be a true conquest update.
Yeah.
With specific changes, map art changes, and mechanic changes to conquest. So going to handle a lot more things there. So as we're wrapping up on our items, just wanted to get that plug in again. That
so I guess the next patch will also be a fairly big patch.
If everyone loves this and wants more of it, we'll consider doing more of it. If we're going to see, it's going to be really hard to predict what this creates, right? We have a lot of a lot of our betting pool predictions internally about what's going to be good and what's not going to be good, and we're going to be very interested to see where we were right and where we weren't, and we'll react accordingly. So we do have one more item, not part of the nerf patch. This is a rework.
Yeah.
Only if a
rework
god
for quality
is
of life
successfully
and functional purposes. We've been wanting to make this item just feel better to
reduce
use.
the
This is
scaling
something we had working on in the background. It required some engineering tasks, and as we got it complete, we still wanted to go ahead and ship it, but we did ship it with a nerf, so it is a shift.
Yeah.
So not necessarily a net buff. It is a net damage decrease. But this Archmage's gem now is only going to proc and remove the stack if you successfully damage an enemy god. So
it's really more of a
random
Sands of Time meta anyway. So
keep in mind, this is the upgrade to the starter. This is not Conduit Gem, the starter itself. That's functioning the same way where it's going to be hitting minions too.
Correct. This is this is the level 20 required upgrade.
So, something to very much work towards as you get into this. So that's going to kill off all the items. That's a lot of nerfs we just went through. Obviously, we have the gods we still have to talk about, but I'm just going to reiterate what they said already. We said this last update notes or show, and we're listening to y'all. If there's something y'all want to be changed, share that feedback. Let us know. Drop it places. We're always looking for it. That's what makes this. We're always willing to try new things, and hopefully you can see that with this, because this has been crazy, absolutely crazy. So we're moving into gods now.
They know that they
again,
need
a lot of nerfs. Everything.
It's good that the community lit a fire under their ass.
But we're starting with Tiamat. So Onslaught
getting
a little bit of a reduction.
We wanted to touch on one more feature.
Oh, that's true.
Kind of your biggest,
we move into gods.
A big one. This
power
is
as a
exciting
player.
Too. Diminishing Returns. So actually, another, I guess, nerf buff. It's a buff to Diminishing Returns, a nerf to a lot of other things. I'll let AJ talk about
We're
the
doing
specifics.
a buff to Diminishing Returns, which will mean a net nerf to CC in the game.
Exactly.
Yes.
What we're doing is
DR,
that. So, quick reminder: if you do get hit by a hard CC in Smite, you get a invisible stack of Diminishing Returns applied to you,
Up to
which lasts for 15 seconds. It's relatively long, and that makes the next CC you're hit by 33% less effective.
Yep.
We're going to be buffing that up to 40% less effective. So. Getting chain CC'd is going to be less effective. There's a floor at which the max reduction. Currently, you can reduce CCs down to 0.5 seconds from this effect. We're now going to let you reduce it down to 0.4 seconds. If the CC is already lower than that, it's not affected by this rule. But so in both of those cases, CC is getting nerfed. That does not affect roots and knockups. Knockups have their own knockup height that is not affected by DR, but does apply DR for future things. And roots are not categorized into hard CC in Smite because you can dash and leap out of them. So those will not be affected by this. So potentially, the root and knockup characters might feel a little stronger because everyone else's CC is getting nerfed. Also, things that are channeled or grabs or pulls like that are also not going to be changed by this. But they do. A lot of those do apply Diminishing Returns. So big CC nerf, effectively game-wide. And just another note that we will be reviewing the feedback from this, and we will be open to making more changes to this rule set in the future.
Yeah, and again, all outlined in the update notes, but a super important change because again, like we're touching everything. That is a big overarching gameplay or interactions and characteristics within the game that we're excited to see how it plays out and excited to see what change this prompts and what reaction it prompts from y'all, the community. So
now we can talk about.
A lot of people don't even know about
28
DR
today because I counted Shiva
like a hidden
and
feature
bonus. So 28 individual god nerfs today.
So many pages.
We'll try to be. We're going to be a little quick just because otherwise we'll be here all day.
Yeah. Gonna eat dinner.
The designers will be able to answer any follow-up questions on social media as well as the community team. I think Lermy's planning on doing a little Q&A stream later today or tomorrow. tonight.
Today.
So if you want to ask for more follow-up questions for more details on some of these, because we're going a little fast.
So far it's all
but,
they're all changes.
So yeah, Tiamat was the first one on the list, right?
I have no idea how this is going to affect the game so far, if it's going to change anything at all, but it definitely changes.
Damaging ability.
There's just so much little stuff that I don't think you can predict how it's going to end up.
You look at them, but you can get hit by multiple effects.
It's good to take a swing at it.
Those stacking with other triggers, like this ability hits hard.
Yeah, because you're obviously getting like every time she ranks us up, you're getting multiple projectiles that can fire, because in the early ranks it's only 2 projectiles. Later on, you're increasing the number of projectiles. So it's just stacking on itself. Then there's a subsequent damage reduction, and based off this, you're gonna have to trust us that the numbers hopefully will add up to surmountable nerf for Tiamat.
The Tiamat's maybe a little bit lower in the meta than a couple of other gods we mentioned, but as we were mentioning, we're trying to nerf like the top 4, 5, 6 gods in every class, every role. So that's getting the top picks, and then even some of the picks that some of you might still perceive as kind of middle tier or like top of the mid tier, but you know, they're on the list still. It's happening.
Yeah.
The next god is very powerful right now, so
and that would be
nerf is ready for it's the right time for it.
Yeah, it's a good time for this one. You kind of hammer on the nail, and that's Agni getting decreased power and scaling across both combustion and rain fire. So you want to get into that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Agni's
fire,
kit, he obviously after the changes we made to him recently, he kind of shot up in both popularity
rain
and
fire
damage,
plus Spear of
that's with
Desolation.
the extra damage, you know, on the stun
Real
and the knocked
good.
Spear. If you actually have a look at the numbers, combustion actually does a whole bunch of damage. So reducing some of the scaling on that one, which is his passive ability, right? Which is just something he's getting on top of his other abilities, was kind of a no-brainer. And then the other one that hits quite hard, with a little bit of variance involved, is his ultimate, right? If you're going to hit by 3 different shots of rain fire, you're going to be hit by a lot of damage. So this change here is going to be obviously stacking depending on how many hits you're going to be affected by with rain fire.
Yeah, and all good changes, because constant damage being put up by Agni is insane, and being immediately blown up by the fireball.
Yeah, and he's a bit of an artillery mage as well, so he can kind of do some of this from range if he wants to, which makes it even
ultimate's like basically launching a trebuchet.
Good stuff to see. Next up, Persephone also getting some damage reduction and a change to Grasp of Death. So what's going on?
So she's getting magical power scaling decreases on all of her effects from the harvest abilities to the plants, both the initial nuke
I'm
and
always
the
down
bite.
for Persephone
And then Grasp of Death is no longer going to apply attack speed reduction, which can make it much easier to break out of it. So effectively a CC nerf on this ability that doesn't really have any easy durations to nerf. It's all very it's all part of a very scripted presentation, but now you'll be able to break out of it more easily if you get trapped in that cage, which I think will be a nice way of counterplaying Persephone.
Unless you're me and you panic and try to run away because you're like, I just want to run away. Never works, always die. Next up, Soul getting touched a little bit on some damage as well. Stellar Burst and Supernova. I mean, less fire in the game, I guess?
Yeah, exactly. Right, we've got Agni and Soul changes. Soul is one of those ADC mages that's probably doing the best right now.
Fair enough.
She can play mid lane very well.
Certainly
She's playing
in
mid lane.
the theme.
Obviously, we've seen Zatman doing really well on the dual lane as well.
Hitting her nerf here,
Stellar Burst is
little nerf there.
her main poke tool as well as her main wave harass tool. And Supernova was kind of a no-brainer as well with that ultimate damage. It's going to have a subsequent damage reduction as well, or the first hit's going to be the most important. So hitting that on the top end of scaling is going to be a pretty big chunk.
Indeed it will. And again, just less fire in the game, less chances for me to randomly be burned to a crisp. Next up, Scary Bird getting touched a little bit. Thoth, Hieroglyph Assault, and Final Judgment both seeing a little bit of decrease.
Yeah, Mage Pen buffs brought this god back real full force.
Real hard,
He's still a very high skill god, so you don't see him as much in casual play.
Yeah.
You do see him a lot in high-end play and ranked play. He can do
That's
quite
a big
bit of
nerf.
damage from
That's
long range,
actually
right?
a
You
big
gotta hit all your
nerf.
abilities, but if you do, he does quite a lot of damage. So you're getting scaling nerfs here on his core damaging ability. As I said, a lot of these changes
probably the
pretty
biggest-
formulaic.
that's the
We're looking
biggest
at
god
core
nerf so
damaging
far.
abilities of the top characters.
Because the
and nerfing their
hieroglyphic
base
assault
scaling.
being so oppressive.
Mages, we targeted scaling a little bit more and then some of them than base because mage end game damage is very high. And we've already seen mages, because of the flat pen nerfs again, fall behind a little bit in the early games. We're already seeing hunters come back to the mid lane a little bit, so you see a little bit more scaling nerfs on mages than some other classes. But Thoth, all in all, this guy nukes, this guy shreds, so he's getting nerfed.
Yeah, he can also see the future because that scream he does with his ult is usually the scream I do after he's killed me with his ult. So Zeus up next, also getting some nerfs. Crazy, bet you didn't guess that.
Top god in the meta right now, Zeus, huh?
Zeus is a hoarder, dude. I love him though, honestly. Going into arena, throwing that ult, minty.
Is that aggro crying? I think.
Yeah, it's true. Why do you think he's not here? Because he threatened me.
He said he could only present one Zeus nerf in a patch, right?
Yeah.
So this is the second one in a row, I believe.
Yeah, he's recovering from.
It's
Zeus Heartbreak. He's recovering.
But I mean, I think everyone is aware that Zeus needs some nerfs right now, which is crazy because he's not only good in other game modes, but he's finally successful in conquest.
Yeah.
We've given him some time to shine, but in the nerfing patch, Zeus is not going to be exempt. So hitting his main two damaging abilities, Chain Lightning and Detonate. We've hit some of these before.
Detonate, you nerf Zeus hard.
that. And I think the important one is we're also decreasing the slow on chain lightning as well.
Another CC
So a little bit of that CC nerf coming in. 30% to 20%, that's still going to be, that's a pretty sizable. You'll feel it for sure.
Yeah.
We usually don't go that much lower than 20% on a lot of these abilities.
All good stuff, though. So we're kind of rotating away from the mages now. We're going towards Achilles as well, getting some nerfs. I feel like that doesn't even bear repeating. Gift of the Gods and Shield of Achilles both getting touched on, getting a little downgraded.
Right, he gets a lot of free stats from his passives,
Sure
either
does.
protection or power, so both of those
You can
coming down
overcap with him,
specifically.
too,
We're
little
a
fun
little
fact
more
for
concerned
you.
about power. We hit them both just to make sure one didn't quite take over the other. And then Shield of Achilles, his primary damaging ability, we are decreasing the long range damage. You might be looking at this and you might read it as a scaling change, but it is more significant than that because this actually gives his distant targeter a 5% nerf overall to its base and scaling. So it's actually a pretty significant buff or nerf to the long range hit of the
Don't
shield.
say the word
But he
buff.
still hits you close range,
Don't say
though, but it'll
buff.
still be the same
It's
damage.
Nerf day.
True that. Said the word buff, threw me out, dude. I'm totally out of whack.
I know. I don't know why I would accidentally say a word like that today when there's just no reason to use it at all.
In the nerfing, I know.
Well, I said that some characters are getting buffed in a way that their competition is
indirectly.
getting nerfed. Like I always call every Hide of Nemean lion
Happy Nerf
a
Day, everyone.
Fair enough.
Write it down.
I mean, yeah, you're
April
slashing the tires
13th.
of Hide
It's
Nemean
Nerf
Lion.
Day.
So next up we have Shock, horrifying giant axe lightning man. Rain Dance and Storm Call, both seeing nerfs. So what are those?
Yes,
doing?
we hit one Storm God, we thought we'd hit the other. No.
Yeah.
So this one's actually a little bit different, right? Because one of the things that we wanted
Can
to
you
keep in mind
imagine
of
they
is we
only
wanted
nerfed
to
in
hit
themes?
power
We're
and
only
a lot of these
nerfing
gods that are
lightning
contributing a
gods
lot of
today.
power to the game. We hit items too. Another thing we want to look at who's just performing quite well and who's high popularity. And Chalk is absolutely
That's a
one of those. Maybe you're not seeing him in the
huge
ranked as
nerf.
much as or in the SPL that much, but he is very high up there in the
15
stats. We wanted
seconds.
to make sure we looked at this systematically, right? Statistically, and that was he was part of that discussion. We didn't want to miss him on that case. So Chalk, he didn't. We also had to look at the damage that he provides. We're also hitting warrior itemization.
because
and we
Chalk
noticed that
is a
Chalk's
good
strengths
character.
aren't really in that. What we did notice is that obviously his ultimate has a lower than normal cooldown, so we brought that in line. I thought that would be pretty fair.
just a good
And
guy.
His healing tick is actually pretty insane. So much so that Chalks are building Transcendence, and that is not a troll pick in the solo lane. That is contributing to his damage, but as well as to the crazy amount of scaling that the healing provides. So this was an
is.
easy nerf for Chalk there.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I love that
Transcendence
sustaining
Chalk
lane. It's one of the
hurts.
reasons that Chalk has definitely been kind of a go-to for me. So it makes sense to see it go, much as I like it. Next up, the Dropkick King Gilgamesh, also seeing some nerfs. Sunforged Scimitar, Winds of Shamash. This makes sense. I've seen a
This
lot
has
of
gotta be
I've
the
seen a lot of him
12th
in my
nerf
recent
for
games, at least
Gilgamesh
kicking
in a
me
row,
into
right?
or through walls and stuff. So, I mean, what are these gonna imply?
Yeah, this god is still very powerful. We've seen him flex well into the jungle as well. Decreasing the duration as well as the bonus damage scaling for health on Sunforged Scimitar is going to just bring down his total damage quite a bit. That ability is probably his main, or certainly his main damage output.
He get
It lasts very
nerfed.
long. You can extend the duration, and
He
just
get-
having basic
he
attacks
get
to
nerfed
follow up
all
for a lot of
over.
damage after your abilities is really powerful on a
He can
warrior.
flex
so
well into the
bringing that
jungle,
down
like
quite
he
a bit
isn't
in
just a
multiple different
jungler,
ways. And then Winds of Samash's ultimate already had pretty high
When's the last
scaling
time you
as
saw
well.
Gilgamesh solo?
So
Long
that's
time.
specifically going to be hitting the jungle Gilgamesh. Is going to be building a little bit more power.
You can't
Won't
kick
be
the
able to
mage in the
secure
face
kills
if he's
easily
in the
with that
solo. It
ultimate.
doesn't make any
Really,
sense.
trying to push it more towards a zoning and control ultimate and less towards a big AoE nuke.
Yeah, that makes sense. Lots of sand in the eyes with that one. Mulan up next. Another character that I love to see. Great abilities, but I get it. The damage has been crazy. The solo lane fights have been hard to deal with. So
30%
cross strike
per
and spear
hit
thrust
on
both kind
cross
of
strike. That's a
dropping
that's
down
a big
little bit.
scaling nerf.
Yeah, it's almost like a would you're win kind of thing, just because like previously Mulan was one that we've been struggling
Big
to
spear
buff
thrust
constantly.
nerf.
We had people saying like, okay, where's Mulan? All right, where's Mulan?
Once
Well, here
again,
Mulan is, and Mulan's
5%
definitely
on
doing
the
quite
both
strong.
hits.
In
That's a big
statistically.
damage
So,
nerf, for sure.
I think everyone's pretty happy to see some nerfs here. We're going to be hitting two of our most damaging abilities, her cross strike and her spear thrust. Spear thrust is also an interesting one because you can hit, especially when it's leveled up, is you can hit a target twice. And individually, the spear thrust damage isn't actually that impressive. It's when you hit targets multiple times with it. So we targeted specifically the bonus damage on hitting the same target twice with spear thrust, because that's an easy way of saying like, hey, if you get hit by once, it's not a lot of damage. That doesn't need the nerf. You get hit twice, which feels like a lot of damage. That's where the nerf is coming in.
Yeah, and a good place to see it. So up next, Shiva, done a whole lot of good since they hit the battleground. I mean,
Nerf him
crazy
hard.
amount of new plays. It's
Harder.
been fun watching all the highlights that have to do with this new god. But I mean, just like everybody else, the nerf is needed because a lot of power out of this one. So it looks like Pillar of Dawn having a bit of a change to the way it handles CC.
He's now going to be stunnable
Yeah, sure.
only.
So we've hit a lot of we've heard a lot of discussion of how strong Shiva is, and we've hit him a lot in different places. We hit him as well in the bonus patch, which already went live.
9 seconds of CC.
A warrior that's quite strong. He's a little bit resistant to nerfs. I think that's a little bit obviously
I haven't seen much pro play for him though.
And it's also pretty unique because he's probably performing. He is. And there's no probably about it. He is performing way better in casual game modes than he is in the high level ranks and in pro play. I think we saw him debut in the SPL finally after being allowed in, and he showed up twice in the jungle, performing well, I believe in one of the games as well as in the support lane. Not quite in the warrior lane, which is previously why we've been hitting a lot of his scaling. We did have the bonus balance nerf that went in, and one thing that you guys wanted to see a lot was some way of locking him down a little bit more. So we introduced a new rule here for Shiva, which is that his Pillar of Dawn, which has previously been CC immune, is still CC immune except for stuns. You can now counterplay him and break him out of the ability by using a stun on him. It's something that we don't do often, but it's kind of felt thematic because it would feel weird if he was still knock upable, if he could still slip and slide on Scotty, but being a stun, that's something very intentional there, whether you felt that was appropriate. We're also obviously open to nerfing him more if necessary. I think that's kind of a given.
Oh, is that the only nerf they're doing?
I mean, as we continue to say, we're always up for listening to feedback. So we'll be interested to see how people work this new change into how they play this god and see how it pans out in the battleground. Next up, Bologna, as featured directly before us on the table, getting nerfed to Shield Bash and Bludgeon. So again, just bringing some stats down, AJ.
Yeah, Bologna's come back big time, which is cool.
Yeah,
we haven't seen her in quite a while, but she's doing really well right now. Shield Bash has a uncharacteristically high slow, I'd say.
She can block stack, build more block stacks, and then disarm.
So shifting that down.
It's like 7 seconds of not being able to take damage from a physical character.
This is the initial warm-up damage. This is still a 10 damage base damage nerf, which is very similar to what we might do on many different abilities. But this is the part that is generally
huge
more confirmable.
Slow nerf.
It's more of the wave. So this is going to take down her early game damage quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of the warrior section. Now we're kind of rotating into assassin. So again, the scary jungle jumpers that are leaping out and murdering me at level 2. And Kamazotz is the first on the list. Hurts a little bit because I love Kamazotz, but Bat Out of Hell is getting a nerf, and it makes sense because that ability is awesome and great to get away with. So
I mean, I'm always down for nerfing untargetable
right? You can get away with it. You can use it to safely attack enemies while up in the air where they can't really answer. We made the quality of life changes previously, and we've had to nerf him since. We're still seeing that he's quite strong, so kind of reducing the top end of this damage a little bit more. Remember, it's going to be he has 3 different hits, so some of these numbers may look small by themselves, but you now have to stack them up.
20 damage times 3. That's a big nerf.
Yep. And we noticed obviously that the level 1, the rank 1 damage isn't even that high. 100 damage multiplied by that 3, that's still not that high for an assassin over time. So we lean more towards the mid and late game.
Right.
Yeah. Well, cool. The next assassin kind of on the chopping block here is Arachne, getting some damage reductions across both Predator and Venomous Bite. So scary spike.
Now you see, we didn't write dev notes for every single god because it was just going to be a huge thing. And kind of glad I don't have the Arachne there, because having to put in writing that Arachne is OP, I know people will be making fun of me eventually. But instead, we're just going to talk about it here on the show. Believe it or not, Arachne is one of the highest performing gods in the entire game, specifically in Conquest at all skill levels. She does very well even at high skill levels. It is only in the most organized pro play that she tends to really fall behind, because she can really be countered and focused.
It's because she's a cheesy McCheese
ranked grind.
She's like a grilled cheese.
So we did focus on 2 different specific things to nerf for her. Her passive, which actually
Level
increases
2 ganks are OP.
her basic attack damage by a relatively large percent based on the opponent's missing health. So that just makes her basics hit really hard. So this nerf here might look like a small number, but it will really add up. And then Venomous Bite power scaling, because that is a deceptively hard-hitting ability as well.
Yeah.
People don't expect it's going to hit them so hard, but it really does hit very hard.
Yeah, and what a lot of people underestimate about Arachne is that she's part spider, which is horrifying. So it just makes sense.
It's the fear factor, right?
Yeah, it is the fear factor.
That's an added buff. Right?
Again, mental crits.
And speaking of which,
fear factors, Joe Rogan, I remember.
Horror, we have Kleena up next, our Halloween champion. Again, just seeing some nerfs kind of across the board. Banshee's Wail, Lurching Claw, and Tearing the Veil, all kind of being brought down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, Kleena's a really interesting one as well, because when she first came out, we saw a lot of people, kind of struggling to do well a little bit.
Complicated.
I think she has a very high skill floor and high skill ceiling. And then we saw once people got used to her, people maybe started realizing that it's harder and harder to get away from good cleaners. Now she's, I think, almost like
Joe Rogan
perma-fighter
One of the top gods.
in SPL. She's one of the top gods, and it's pretty noticeable that good cleaners with a bit of damage can do a whole bunch. So we're just hitting a little bit of power scaling on pretty much all of her abilities there. If we need to hit her again sometime in the future, I think that's not a problem.
Interesting side note about this one is that it was probably the most requested nerf of why wasn't it in bonus.
Right.
And because we were doing, usually bonus is all the nerfs, but we couldn't put all these nerfs in bonus, and we needed to have the update show, we needed to talk, so we kept most of the nerf. Obviously, we only shipped 2 nerfs in bonus, so they were the actual, what we perceived as the number 1 and number 2 gods in the game, being Shiva and Bastet. Kalina was number 3 though, in that analysis.
Yeah, close.
And we kind of discussed shipping her nerf early as well, but we wanted to keep the nerf patch really contained and all together, because also we wanted to bring all these gods down together. We didn't really want to see too much shifting over the first 2 weeks. So apologies to those of you who really called it on the Kalina nerf. You were right. It was coming all along. It was on the way. We just wanted to keep this patch really solid, keep everything together, and make a big impact to the game all out at once when 9.4 launches and the Jade Emperor arrives. We still got like 15 gods, 16 gods left to go?
Something like that. So we're going to keep
Let's keep
blazing the
moving.
trail.
Keep
Next
nerfing
up,
them.
Loki. Behind you and Vanish. Both
Keep
getting brought
nerfing
down a
them.
little bit. Talk about about the Loki.
5% from behind nerf.
nerf.
Okay.
I mean, Clumsy, this is yours.
Yeah, go for it, Clumsy.
I would say.
It's actually not.
Oh, I took the end of Kalina, so
Yeah,
it is actually mine.
The Vanish per tip is a decent.
I know,
per
Danny
tip.
knows Loki is a
know.
burst god,
Yeah.
right?
It's
That is what he
always
does.
decent.
We slowed him down a little bit with the rework, but he's still very burst defined. He also has some of his best meta performances in the last few months since his rework, which I guess has been like
which is
over a
pretty
year
cool.
now or whatever. Time is a flat circle, but he's still doing really well. He's getting scaling nerfs to compensate for that.
Easy
True that.
peasy.
All right, so this one's for Clumsy. We'll do Tsukuyomi next. Dark Moon Shuriken and Silver Moon Caltrops. Both getting hurt, both getting brought down.
Yeah.
Lay it on.
Keep
I was about to
Tsukuyomi's
say, I
one
wonder
of
if it's
the
going to be
assassins that's
cooldown
performing
that they
quite
touch.
well
It
right
is.
now.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit more
The
of like a
cooldown
pub
is
stomper assassin. He can do a lot of his damage from
so
range and then kind of
low.
use his ultimate to come in and cement that. So a little bit of that, we talked about how we're going to be adjusting power for some of these gods. Tsukuyomi's getting something here where it's adjusting his power because his
good,
main
this is good.
poke tool and jungle clear tool with Dark Moon Shuriken is actually going to be increasing its cooldown. 10 seconds is pretty low, and in a meta where it's probably been a while where cooldown is pretty prevalent for assassins, that can get really, really low, especially to the late game. And he's getting his range basic attack.
We all know it's
bonus
basically
after that as
impossible
well.
to
So
not cap
decreasing,
your CDR.
increasing the
It's
cooldown is going to be decreasing his power throughout.
Unless you're like
and
a
then Silver
hunter.
Moon Caltrops is just going to be the ranged follow-up attack. So similarly talking about those ranged follow-up attacks that Tsukuyomi
Even
can gain,
hunters nowadays
it's actually going to
have.
be reducing the scaling from that because a 40% hit for a bonus to an ability that already does damage is pretty strong.
Yeah, and
very
there's
true.
a lot of damage there. Plus, those Caltrops are just incredibly hard to deal with.
Legos.
So now we're true Legos. Now we're kind of moving into the hunter area. So we got a couple hunters we're going to talk about.
That'll be
starting with
interesting what
Amuse
they do
Cobb.
for
So
hunters.
The bee having some reductions to both swarm
This will be
and
very
stinger.
interesting.
Yeah, when you think damage and hunters, this is often one of the first ones that comes to mind.
Yeah.
He's been an interesting balance
He had
target over
gotten
the
a lot
years
of
because he's
buffs
often
recently,
extremely strong
too,
or
so.
nobody wants to play him at all. He's currently in the strong section of those two.
He's
we're
like-
trying to
he's
keep
like
him,
Freya.
we're trying to avoid sending him back into the shadow realm like he has been in the past. But we are going to be seeing damage nerf on the
Power
Swarm, his
scaling,
key lane
power
clear and key
scaling,
poke ability, as well as the
decrease
Stinger,
slow.
which again,
Okay.
kind of like the Zeus change, recently got some new utility.
Yeah.
Which is great. We're really happy with the way we're introducing some of this new utility to the gods, but it is very important to remove the damage that they were.
Yeah.
Gods who are relying only on damage tend to be some of the less fun to play or a little bit less or more difficult to balance. Introducing new
Just
utility
make
and
them
taking out
slower.
damage is a great way
Nope.
to make the god more
Buzz, buzz,
interesting,
buzz,
more
buzz, 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 buzz,
counterplay,
buzz,
more
buzz,
unique
buzz.
applications, but that damage is
Ow.
coming down, and that's what's coming down here, as well as that slow, which was a new introduction coming down again.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense. You want to, if the ability's one hitting, then like, oh, there's no counterplay, there's no
Damage
so,
nerf, CC nerf. Damage nerf, CC nerf.
Boom, good to go. Nerfing all the bugs. Next up, Apollo across the sky, decreasing some physical power scaling.
Yeah, this one's pretty targeted. It's going to be on the ultimate. Obviously, he got a little bit of utility on that a little while back, and we've noticed that kind of the difference between
That's
really
fine.
strong Apollos and really weak Apollos is depending, or in performance, is when you can get multiple channels, multiple ticks of that channel across the sky.
Totally fine.
Because you're getting the 5.
Somewhere
scaling,
Casey
but it's per
Jones
tick.
is
If you've
like,
ever seen someone
thank
That
you.
hits so hard you can
or
the whole thing.
something like that, if you're locked in place and you get hit by the entire thing, you're being decimated. So this
Yeah.
is probably a pretty fair bringing down the top end a little bit of that damage from Apollo.
Sounds good. Next up, Pu Yi, a little what is it, Golden Crow, little brought down, little nerf. AJ?
Yeah, this is a smaller nerf. Ho-Yi, we saw a bit of his showing up in the meta. He's slowed down a little bit, but he's always lurking there because he's very good at high level and he can do really cool things with his ricochet and jungle clear.
Ho-Yi is very good. He's just not easy to play.
Just flat damage increase on the person you've marked, which a lot of people underestimate the power of this effect. So we're only taking you down 1% per rank, but when you apply that to all of his abilities and the duration that the mark lasts on you, that is effectively doing a small base and scaling nerf to his entire kit.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
So good to see that. Next up, Izanami. Been seeing a lot of Izanami, especially with that skin that dropped. I feel like I'm seeing it everywhere, which
people love that skin. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we love it too. Glad y'all do as well. But it also is horrifying because she'll be invisible and then I'll be dead from sickles.
75% is one heck of an attack.
Yeah, Sickle Storm is, it's an extremely high potent ability with that attack speed that's coming in. Even more so if you start building the Silver Branch builds on her. We saw a lot of, Izanami, especially coming in before the T5, actually. She was quite a popular god, and even after the Tier 5. But around the time that we were even planning some of these nerfs, she was definitely one that deserves to be up there, especially because of her popularity. But we started seeing, the SPL coming in, high-level ranks coming in, stats coming in, and she was dropping off of favor. In fact, with the SPL, she was played, I think, more so beforehand. and
much more in Season 8 than in Season 9.
Way less now. So she definitely deserves to be on this list. It's a little bit lighter of a nerf, but of course, you've got to incorporate all the other Hunter item nerfs.
Right.
But that's, that's
because she's a little lower on the current Hunter tier list.
Yeah, so
Izanami did nothing
Next
wrong.
up, we're going to have Medusa, scary
except for the
snakes,
fact that her passive
getting decreased just a little bit.
overcaps on
Viper Shot
pen.
and Lacerate both seeing some reduction. AJ?
So for a god that's actually on the top of the Hunter tier list, you're going to see here more nerfs. You're going to see base and base damage to Viper Shot as well as attack speed on Viper Shot. The Viper Shot attack speed number is huge, and it's a very short. It only applies to those shots, so it really just kind of connects the combo there. So that's not the most impactful buff, but that's
20% nerf, 5 damage. That's pretty big.
But the tick damage is certainly going to add up when you consider that base damage across
That's a pretty big
multiplying
nerf.
it times 12 effectively, because you got about 3 ticks times 4 shots. And then
That's
also
a
Lacerate
hefty
being her,
Hunter.
dash, which has recently got a lot of improvements, quality of life, being able to hit minions, being able to dash through things, being able to
That's the
anti-heal
biggest
got
Hunter
moved
nerf
off it.
so far.
With that whole shift and buff, we saw Medusa come way up.
That's
So
a thick
seeing
one
another
for the
damage nerf here on
snaky
Lacerate, which
snake.
is a huge burst combo, right? She can hit you with this, so that's going to all be coming down.
That's good. I mean, she definitely dives in on you, and you're like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm at the respawn screen, so I'll just hang out here. Good to see that happen. Next up, we're moving into Guardian territory now. So our Guardians are as well going to see some nerfs, and we're starting with Ardio. So the big half-lady, half-horrifying bear monster is seeing Energy Surge and Heavy Charge both being brought down a little bit, right?
Yeah, with Guardians, like we talked about with the itemization, we've kind of got 2 different types. We've got the support Guardians and we've got the solo lane bruisers.
Yeah.
Artio, most recently, actually, is definitely favoring the solo bruiser playstyle. We're going to have those heavy itemization changes, like Celestial Legion,
never
Helmet,
been
Vampire Crown, which should
much of a
really help in the meta for
support
Conquest.
Guardian.
But of course, we have to keep an eye on what else she can provide in other game modes as well. Artio is definitely one that's up there. We are targeting her base damage across the 2 main heavy hitters for her kit. This is going to help her. This is going to hurt her in lane, which is going to help bring her down and her efficacy in lane a little bit more.
Right.
And it's going to be a little bit
Vamp Shroud nerf.
not as punishing to to battle her out in lane, right? To box her in lane.
Right.
So
Yeah.
hopefully she won't be as frustrating to deal with.
Hopefully. So this next one I had to
She'll
cry
be
off the
frustrating.
studio for about
That's
20
like-
minutes before I was
that's
able
like
to
your
read.
thing.
Atlas getting a nerf as well. Kinetic Charge being brought down.
You know he
a little
deserves
bit.
it. You know
I
it.
know. It still hurts though. So
Of course
I mean,
he deserves
Guardian's
it.
probably one of the most straightforward on the whole nerf patch. Every single one of them is getting base damage nerfs.
Yes.
It's that simple, right? We know we've seen the stats, we've seen the feedback. It's very clear. Some of them also have peppered in a few scaling nerfs if we've been seeing them flex into solo lane a little bit, or like we're spoiler alert, get to Kabrakan at the end, who's building straight up full mage. So there is some scaling nerfs across here, but Atlas specifically this dash ability, doing a lot of damage, bringing that down. I think there was a couple different mobility
Kabrakan
abilities that we
building
brought
full
down in damage,
mage.
'cause, you're already leaping or dashing. That's pretty strong. We can take that
I
damage
would
too.
he
never.
just wants to get closer to give you a hug. That's all it is.
It's a mighty hug.
If you want to talk Guardian damage, we got the next god is ready to talk.
True, and the next god is Ares, and that Ares is having some shackles damage taken off. So clumsy shackles are weaker now, I guess.
Ares nerf.
Shackles are weaker now. I mean, there's times where Ares gets into the meta. There's times where you can say his flamethrower
5
with the
damage
buffs and his
per
ult is
attack.
quite strong. I don't think
Which is,
anyone has ever debated that the shackles damage on Ares is too
A
low.
lot more
So
impactful.
if we're looking at gods who are
level 1.
It
very
straight
strong.
one-shots people if
Yeah.
you just
It's
don't.
crazy.
It's like one of the few abilities in the game that can. If you hit with all the chains
and you
hit all the
spread them
refires
out at the right
and
time.
spread the damage
Always
out.
remember
Right.
to do that. Yeah, you can actually one shot. I mean, I love to do it. I think everyone's like
very
likes to do it.
It's a really slow one shot, but I guess it still counts.
It does.
So yeah, Ares is one of the gods who, again, looking at all the metrics.
It doesn't feel like that slow of a one shot when it's happening
Ares
to you. It
deserves to be
feels
hit,
pretty
and
quick.
That's probably going to be a pretty hard hit for him.
Yeah, I can't say it's not deserved.
Not going to hurt his laning too much though, because he's got a unique minion damager. It's
Yeah.
just his PvP damage, which I think is really good for him.
Yeah, so no more insanely slow one-shotting hunters. So next up we have Bacchus, Intoxicate, also seeing some decrease, if you want to get into that, AJ.
Yeah, this is the Guardian Nuke, right? This one hits real hard, so we're getting just
Real hard, real fast.
base and scaling coming down on this one.
Bacchus is
Just
very
noticing
good right now.
40 damage at max rank, that's a pretty significant nerf. These are a lot of these nerfs are bigger nerfs than you might see on a normal patch as well.
Man, that is
you
such
don't
an
usually see a
ugly
40 base damage nerf.
Picture of Bacchus, man.
I mean, like we said, we're shooting for the moon on this one. We heard y'all. We want to give y'all what y'all want. We're really getting into it. Next up, this one was teased 4 seconds ago. Kabrakan, Seismic Crush, Tectonic Shift, both seeing some nerfage.
I'll be honest. When we were having our meetings, we were talking about different guards that could be hit.
Yeah.
Kabrakan's one of those who I was like, okay, we were talking about Kabrakan, maybe it's a solo
barely a
cruiser, and then
guard,
I wasn't even sure how much he deserved. We looked at the stats, we looked at his SPL performance, and like, yeah, okay, he is
swinging
on the
right
list.
now.
Like, we're seeing him mostly picked as a jungler right now. We're
Yeah.
seeing a little bit of maybe solo, a little bit of support, but yeah, I think he absolutely deserves to be on this list. We're hitting him in 2 different spots: the Seismic Crush and the Tectonic Shift. All base damage, base damage and scaling. 70%, 60%, I think is totally fine for a Guardian, even if it's a bruiser one.
Right.
And he might need more nerfs after watching the SPL.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Yeah, the damage output recently has been insane, so I'm honestly happy to see it.
I wish
last
we
but
could
not
have
least,
seen it
on
pop up
Guardian
on the
section,
screen,
we're
but
gonna
oh
have
well.
Cerberus, Paralyzing Spit, also seeing a little bit of nerfage.
Yeah, Cerberus may be a little bit towards the lower end of the tier list of what would be making the cut to get nerfed today, but Paralyzing Spit is one of the single hardest hitting burst abilities
so
on a Guardian.
Yeah.
Hitting with all 4 hits. A lot of people think of 3, but they forget about the little snake. That's the 4th hit.
That last
It's actually
little-
4. So it hits very hard. So we are nerfing that, and we already went ahead and did the math for you. It's actually 28 damage drop flat if you get hit by all 4 hits.
Yeah. And there you go. We even do math on this show. It's incredible. Sometimes, yeah. Don't hold us to that.
That's a hard
We do a lot of
ability
math
to
for
hit,
games,
though.
We just don't talk about it. It's not very fun.
Mostly
That's a
because,
hard one.
talking about it's painful and hard, and I don't have enough fingers. So the final thing that we're going to talk about in the God section is actually it's a rework. It's just a rework. I'm just going to lay it out there. Erlang Shen having a lot of changes made, kind of continuing the trend of trying to see what we can change.
But
on
I
a bit
just
grander of a
wrecked
scale
with
in
him,
these
guys.
updates. And I'm just going to let AJ take it away.
Yeah, so I might be referencing my notes here bit by bit, so apologies, because this is normally for a God rework, we write out a very long blog post that explains a lot of our reasoning and our goals.
Yeah.
You can find that all on the patch notes on the patch notes document. Shout outs to our recent design acquirer, Hi-Res Agro, who worked on this very heavily and worked with me quite a bit on it and worked with me on this messaging. So great job. Feel free to contact him for your feedback and praise or complaints.
Praise.
Erlang Shen has had an interesting history in Smite. He was considered a little underwhelming by the general player base. We eventually found his pro footing in a variety of different roles, in a variety of different metas, where he was just the best god in his category, depending on the time and place.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much never in the solo lane. And one of the things we also learned from the Circuit changes is just the way the community perceives flex gods. We like flex gods. We want to continue to encourage flex gods, but specifically, why do we want to rework Erlang Shen?
Yeah.
And that is because he has pretty much shown over the last 2+ years of SPL data that he is one of the top junglers, and he tends to push out a lot of other junglers out of the meta. He was the number 3 most banned god in the Season 9 kickoff tournament, number 5 most banned god in SWC Season 8. He also had extremely high priority pick and bans in the beginning of just the few weeks of the actual Season 9 SPL splits. So he's clearly up there for priority in pro plate. However, his popularity in normal conquest is towards the bottom pack, number 77 out of 119.
Yeah, wow.
So he's really, really popular in the pro meta, but players still aren't picking him up. That's usually a good sign for a character for a rework.
Yeah.
He also way overperforms in his flex role. So generally, we love flex. We like flex.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not believe us. We're going to try to earn your trust back to prove you that we do like flex. But Erlang Shen was boasting over a 4% win rate increase in jungle over solo or support, which is a huge difference. That's a really big buff. Trying to get those back, really the main goal of the rework
because he's a jungler.
Bring down his jungle a little bit, bring up his solo a little bit.
He could flex to other roles, but his role is a jungle.
And shift it over. So how are we going to do that? We want to incentivize players to max the spot weakness ability. This ability makes him really good solo laner because you're boxing. You're hitting a lot of basic attacks. We also are going to make the 72 transformations less of priority. He's going to be seeing a significant removal, the loss of his CC knockup on the turtle form. That is being removed. Another, CC change. A lot of players asking for CC changes, CC removal.
Of course.
We know that it is a huge nerf to the god. So with Erlang Shen removing a CC and adding a significant other new things to shift around, it'll be a good experiment. It'll be a good data point.
Movement speed
let's see.
4 seconds. After the dash complete.
Let's see, there's so much going on.
Literally, it has just been so many nodes. It's crazy.
I'll go over the quick TLDR now of the shield itself. So Howling Celestial Dog is going to do less,
and it gives you 75% total from protection.
So better anti-tank, better for being against other warriors.
Yeah.
Spot weakness is going to have less bonus damage and less bonus damage scaling significantly. So
increased damage to 1%.
But it's going to get a new component where it now gives Erlang Shen lifesteal, so sustain and solo lane.
Yeah.
And
he's a warrior. They did it.
The opponent's
They did it, folks. He is a warrior.
Which is really cool. Or, I'm sorry, damage output.
Damage output.
So this lets him actually cause opposing warriors to deal less damage. So he can even use this as a peel feature.
Wow.
A lot of ways you can
their
do this.
damage output by up to 7%.
Exactly, much more utility. 72 transformations is now going to be knockup immune.
Bro, leveling up spot weakness is going to be where it's at. That's a baller ability.
Like that across the game. Atlas was one situation.
Wow.
It's also slowly a little bit more comparative points to like Sun Wukong, who has similar things depending on which transformation he's in.
Right.
God, he's going to be annoying.
Is getting a buff now where it's going to get bonus movement speed. So if you do want to be aggressive and get that attack speed, you'll also get the movement speed so you can really stick on that target, land some extra basic attacks. Turtle is losing the knockup, the biggest nerf of the whole rework.
Man.
And instead is going to gain protection scaling on the shield. So it's going to get a bigger base shield, and that shield is going to continue to get bigger if you buy protection items. So if you actually go full like damage Erlang or hybrid Erlang, you're going to be
Erlang probably becomes he just becomes a standard auto attacky solo laner. Think Bologna,
just to make him a little bit tankier during assault. So a lot of shifts all over this kit. We really want to see people, one, just be more interested in trying this guy in the first place.
Of course.
Two, we want to see him try in multiple roles. We fully expect people to keep playing in jungle. That's great. We think he will be a little less competitive there, but hopefully we can see him show up in solo or support as well.
Wow, that was a lot. I mean,
overall good or bad change to Erlang? I mean,
it was.
They wanted him to be more of a solo laner, and that is definitely more of a solo laner.
Yeah, again, math on the show only happens sometimes.
If you like playing him in the jungle, I imagine you're not going to be pumped.
I mean, again, just a huge amount of nerfs.
It's definitely less of a jungle
everything. We wanted to
do
everything we could
to,
take the feedback that we've been getting about CC.
Because his CC chain was nuts.
Yeah, these are double-sided.
Taunt, it's knockup. You get the auto tag in between each. You have the auto tag
so yeah, but that's going to end the 9-4 nerf section. So all of that actually coming out next week. As I'm sure a lot of y'all know, we're in a new schedule right now. So you'll be looking forward to this update coming out next week on Tuesday. So
soon, so excited.
Right around the corner. You'll be able to get to all of this stuff right away. I mean, the countdown starts now essentially, but look forward to all of that because we're excited to share it. We're excited to see y'all get into this. Now we're moving into community news. No nerfs in community news this time, so we can take a nerf breather. So first up, I just want to remind y'all about the Prime Gaming skins that are currently available. Currently, Rambo Uller is available for claim through Prime Gaming, so make sure that y'all are going and claiming that skin.
And you
we're
can
super excited about it. We've loved this, and we'd love to see it in
ad-free experience
following
on
that,
Twitch.
though, is actually we're going to show y'all guys something new. A new Prime Gaming skin will be coming soon.
The
after
auto
the
attacks on the Rambo skin
and that's going to
puny.
be Shredder Ravana, Super Shredder Ravana. So we're excited to show that off. That'll be available May 5th. And yeah, it's another brand new Ninja Turtle skin that, again, we're just all extremely excited about. Oh, look at him. I absolutely love it. That like dark color palette is so good. So super excited. We're excited to have this in game. And it'll be available May 5th.
Right?
My brain is like fried from all the nerfing. SPL news is also something that we're going to have more of, and that's just the SPL's going. It's rocking on. Make sure y'all are catching the games. It's been super exciting. Glad to have SPL back because I mean, what else do you turn on while you're chilling in the afternoons on the weekend?
As long as you pay $150 a year for Prime, it's free.
Constantly SPL games, and I'm super excited that we're able to have all of that back. And next is actually kind of a big thing. So we put out a blog about this as well as the update notes today, so y'all can get into it now. But the Smite standalone launcher we're waving it goodbye with update 9.4. For those of you who don't know, that the launcher has been unavailable for a long time now, so people haven't been able to download it. You could still use it if you had it originally or had, never uninstalled it, but it is going away as of 9.4. It's not going to be updated anymore, so if you are using that, make sure you hop over to one of the other platforms. This isn't going to affect anything for the other platforms, so Steam, Epic Game Store, Amazon Luna, you'll be able to play through all of that.
The other platforms
with 9.4 update,
will still
no
work
be able to
as
use the
crappily as they do now. Don't worry about it.
With the my brain just lost. Account sharing between accounts, you have nothing to worry about as long as your accounts are linked up. Everything is going to be available on any of the other PC platforms. So just make sure that you link those accounts up. But again, the standalone launcher is seeing its final goodbye with update 9.4.
We sure did, Dirk. We sure did.
Wish it a wonderful farewell, and we'll be excited to see all of y'all join on Steam, Epic Game Store, or Amazon Luna. So with that, we're going to rotate into a little bit of quality of life here, and also welcome our newest guest to the couch, Lermy.
Hey.
Yeah, welcome, Lermy. You should have seen it. It was horrifying. About 12 seconds ago, that couch ate clumsy, so that was scary. Glad you were brave enough to sit there, though. So we have a little bit of quality of life, AJ, if you want to go
Lermy, I'm jealous. You got to be over there watching the feedback while we were doing the nerfs. How's it looking? Are people happy out there?
Yeah, I think it's honestly a really exciting patch, and I'm hoping that everyone's going to get a chance to experience like all of the new shifts that are going to come from all of the nerfs, especially.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we'll see a lot of new gods rise to the top, new items, new builds, new strategies, and that's going to be the biggest exciting part for me.
So incredible.
Awesome. I know we don't have any Twitch chat. I don't have my Twitter feed up. I feel I'm blind. I'm lost. I need to hear what the people want. I'm going to have to wait until the show's over.
Ajax is like, I'm naked. I'm exposed.
I just want to reassure everyone that our team is working on the server connectivity issues.
Of course.
We've been still working to mitigate some of the resulting issues from an attack we had last week. We do have a significant performance fix going live with this 9.4 update.
Yeah.
But we're going to be continually monitoring that up through that. It is a high priority for us, but this is a very new type of challenge we've experienced here in this last week, and we do apologize and thank you for bearing with us. Improvements are on the way and shipping with the 9.4 patch.
Yeah.
In a more fun announcement, we have the achievement avatar for 120 gods mastered, being Jade Emperor being god number 120. So that will be an exciting thing to get.
They've been getting
log in and
attacked
make sure you master that god to
for
get that
a
avatar.
decade.
We also have some really nice quality of life updates to the jungle practice mode.
Yeah.
Shout outs to our Olympians and people who are always advocating for improvements on that mode.
Giving us that
so we do
feedback,
have a new area that'll be classified as the jungle. So areas where the god bots are, the fire giant, the gold fury, and the buff camps will now be considered jungle volume.
Cool.
So you can use items like protector of the jungle that will actually apply there now. We also added a button spawner in the Tower and Phoenix area to spawn a titan. So you can fight and scrim against the titan. And we also added some HUD health bars.
It's actually a
Those are
fair
the ones you
1v1
normally would
because
see
of
in
how
the
much
in
we
the
push
game.
over the
When you
titan.
enter a boss
so
area, there's an additional pop-up health bar that
It'd be
comes up.
good to practice
That'll also
your
now
dueling
work in
skills.
jungle practice. And the final quality of life announcement I have is that we are now in 9.4. We did talk about this a little bit previously, but we hadn't executed it yet. But in 9.4, we will start rotating the viewer store every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
As opposed to 4 weeks. That means you'll have twice as many looks at different skins to spend those free viewer points you earn on. But it also means that they will be there for a shorter number of times. So if you want that skin, make sure you get your points or get ahead of it, because essentially going forward, every launch day there'll be new viewer point skins, and then every bonus day also new viewer point skins. We also have a lot of bug fixes. I'm not going to go through them all right now, but please check the patch notes, check those out. Kitten of Doom helped me write these up, and she's just been working so hard verifying all those from QA team and getting them through the system. So please check them out. We have quick shout out to our Olympians for helping us fix a large amount of localization issues in the Spanish language client of Smite, as well as some custom games, God Builder fixes, UI fixes, and gods and items. So definitely check those out.
So many things. Yeah, that document is living and breathing. I look at it and then I'll take a sip of water and look back, and there's 15 new things and comments and questions. So super great. A lot of info there. Love to see all of that. And that kind of goes to our quality of life. I'm excited now to hop into something that y'all were aware of a while ago.
Maybe
and we're
you
finally
can now claim
getting into
your
the game in
points.
9.4, and that is the Streamer Showdown. If y'all recall, Season 9 began with a little competition that we hosted with Nexus called the Season 9 Streamer Showdown, where we gave streamers the opportunity to earn in-game cosmetic items for being amazing content creators, for rallying their communities. And this is the update in which you're going to see those things come into the game. So I'm going to go through the different winners here, and we'll kind of show off a little bit. So third place winner was Incon. So congratulations to Incon. He'll be getting an announcer pack in-game for coming in 3rd place. A huge triumph because there were a lot of talented people there. 2nd place, you're going to see Weekend with a global emote coming into the game. So that's as well very exciting. Going to have the emote or the global emote live in game with 9-4. And of course, we have our 1st place winner, Rexy, who did an amazing job, really rallied their community. It was incredible to watch. And Rexy is going to have several things in game. You're going to have an announcer pack, a ward, and an emote bundle, all available for Rexy. An incredible amount of effort came from these creators. Absolutely excited to see all of the hard work they did.
Never heard of that. No idea who
And
Incon
all
is.
of these
No
will be
clue.
claimable for free with update 9.4. Each of them has their own unique
bet that
mission tied
Incon
to
guy's
it.
trash,
So when you
though.
get in game, you'll see, hey, I got a couple new missions,
bet.
and I'm going to get some really, really awesome community-centric swag that I get to show off and support my community with starting in 9.4. So again, huge shout out to Incon, Weekend, and Rexy for all of their amazing work and how hard they pushed themselves and rallied their communities for this competition. Super excited to see all of their content live in 9.4. So make sure you get them. Super excited. Again, I love shouting out our community because we love our community immensely. So now we're getting into some of our skins, one of my favorite sections of the show. I love getting to see all these new skins. I really don't see them a whole lot before this, so it's always amazing and surprising. And let's dive right in with a DLC for Zeus coming out with 9.4. This DLC will include the amazing new skin, Almighty Archon Zeus, which is
Pretty cool card art.
absolutely glorious. I mean, it looks
Pretty cool
beautiful.
card art.
Archon line, one of our most popular lines of skins, and I love the Almighty throw, which is a little reference to
Speaking
one
of
Zeus's
Archon
oldest
skins, you
Yeah,
can
now
get
he
the
has got an
Archon, the
Almighty Archon
Thanatos
instead of
skin
just
by
this
playing on the
old
Smite Twitchy
Almighty
League.
skin, which is
It's a
quite old.
seasonal
This
reward
is
for a
the
season
opposite
9
of that. This
Twitchy
is
League.
cutting edge beauty and tech, and it is extremely clean and smooth. And I was like, I
That's
remember
cool.
when Aggro joined the team, and I was like, yo,
That's
check
cool
this
in
out.
game
I gotta
too.
show you this before it comes out. And he was like, yo, that's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's up to date with the memes
Those
too.
4
pondering the orb
wings
during
in the
card
back
art.
remind me of something. I don't know
Zeus
what
always
it is.
ponders the orb. He does it in his base card art as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
He's been pondering the orb before orbs were even
I don't know
pondered.
what it
Dude,
is. but
true.
It reminds me of
OG
something
Orb
very
Ponderer.
specific.
So an absolutely amazing skin, and super excited about it. I love that that magical back floating ring thing with the wings on it. I don't know what to call it, but it's absolutely incredible.
It's an angel. It's a biblically accurate angel.
It is.
Obviously.
Obviously. We're always biblically accurate. All right, let's hear the voice line.
It's actually
I sense dark forces
effectively
corrupting
biblically
this
accurate
realm.
angle in the back.
To
Yeah.
me, my angels,
Actually, it
we
might be
must
what I'm thinking
eliminate
of.
all traces of evil at once.
That sounds like a great voice line to play before assembling like an Archon team.
Yeah, it needs some more eyes.
And then,
Can you build a full Archon team yet?
You've got to be really close.
Yeah.
Or you probably
have
can build
to
an
be.
angel team, but you might have we got Ra and Zeus now, so that's too many
There's
mages.
Umoja as well.
Yeah, there's Thanatos, the original.
It's a good troll arena pick, if nothing else.
Not
So,
afraid.
really
We're
aesthetically
doing that
pleasing.
later.
So this will be again a DLC available. It will come with 400 gems and the Stormbringer avatar. So make sure y'all are looking out for that. Next up, we have the psychedelic chest with the magic dragon Tiamat. So I'm excited to see. Oh, look at how good that
she's
looks.
meditating. That's cute.
Yeah.
Does this one launch on 420, or is it? Oh, it's the day
It's
before.
419.
Yeah,
so
419.
very
Close
close.
enough. Close enough.
Yeah. So
Those of you who celebrate at midnight or 4:20 a.m. you know.
Exactly.
It looks like a gecko
no particular
adjacent
reason,
skin,
obviously.
and that
But
always makes me
really,
nervous
something
with the
different
voice pack.
Tiamat that takes it. It's still cool looking, right?
Oh,
It's still
wow.
has
It
a
looks
lot
cool.
of detail because we did the.
I like it. I
the
think it
cuter
looks
skin,
cool.
But I really
But
like
I
how
am
this
nervous
has
about the voice
The
pack.
fairy dragon style, you know, it's kind of
Yeah.
an archetype you've seen across many different.
I
games
always
and,
like bright
RPGs,
colored
but
skins
It's
in
something we've
Smite,
talked about a
because
long
Smite
time on the Smite team,
sometimes
and I
ends up
feel like
being a little
they nailed it with this one. The colors, the butterfly
diluted.
wings,
gosh,
the
yeah.
psychedelic colors, she has a cool, sleek look to her. You know, she doesn't really look like cute or silly, but she just looks cool.
yeah, like pure elegance and like the changing colors, the like RGB
Yeah.
fins.
I mean, she looks a little silly.
Fins.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a gamer.
She's a
a
gamer.
little
Pro
silly.
gamer. So one thing that I have to shout out, or a couple things to shout out, because I'm trying to talk to our artists who do all this hard work and stuff. And this has a really cool VXG from what I hear that causes even more incredible glowing. So make sure y'all check that out in game. And there's also been some adjustments to the sound to
I
make it
did-
sound
the
a
spitting
little
does
more
get to be a
trippy,
bit
but also
much,
based in nature. It's something that's hard to describe, but is amazing to hear in
That's
game.
that.
And I guess let's start out by hearing the voice line.
Let's spread some peace and love
could've
and
been worse.
awesomeness.
That could have been worse.
And awesomeness. I use that word too often, I've been told, so I'm all about it, and we'll be using the skin on Tuesday next week. Hoo-hoo! So super exciting.
The voice
super
pack is
excited
in
for this
fact
because
not
pro
good,
RGB
but the
gamer
voice
life.
packs in Smite
Next
are basically
up,
never
actually some more
good.
skins from the Heavenly Light event, which I'm super excited to
Like,
show off.
they're
And we'll start with
literally
Shadow
never
Bloom
good.
Persephone.
Oh my goodness, this is a sick entry into the shadow line of skins with
Yeah.
all the forest spirits, and she's got all her plants and her skeletal forest friend. Oh, that's gonna look sick.
That is so sick.
A little darker take down that we've been going more positive characters, more like good aligned characters.
The
in
Shadow
Space. This one's got a little
Forest
bit more of a dark twist to it.
theme
Yeah,
has
the,
been
like,
a cool.
wooden skull flowers definitely.
Has
does
been
throw
a cool
that
theme
dark
for
twist
them.
into it for sure.
A little creepy.
Yeah,
but
those flowers are
still
creepy.
cool.
Ooh, and it looks so. I love the contrast of that like bright blue against the dark undertone. It's such an amazing.
Yeah, that's a
look.
cool.
Ooh,
That's a
great
cool
game.
theme for a skin.
Yeah, right. Her hair is so nice. Wait, can I do my hair like that? Like, someone teach me how to do that, please.
That is super incredible, and of course, as always, a lot of hard work goes into this, and we're excited to see it in game because just all of the different animations that this character has. I can't wait to see the ult. That ult is always it's such a powerful presence when it's flying at you. So let's hear the voice line.
I sense the forest is in pain. I will catch these intruders and expel them at once.
All of those skins have
Definitely
the
a
same.
little evil,
the same
but like
voice.
She's protecting her forest.
Yeah,
though.
okay,
Yeah.
she's protecting
They've all
her,
got the same
her
dealio.
forest and her flowers. So don't go stepping on her flowers or you'll be having some problems.
Yeah, true. I hear they bite back. That's the rumor I hear anyway. So next up in the Heavenly Light event is another skin that I'm just so excited about. Croc Father Sobek.
Oh my goodness, this one is just, I mean,
good.
do I even have to say anything?
The
Look at
Croc
how
Father.
he's just got all the
Okay,
swag.
they could have
Yeah,
gone
you gotta
two
have a
different
meme
ways
skin
with this.
every now and
They
then,
went
and
like
this one has been
Godfather
more of
and
an
not like
internal meme
Dad
than a
who
little bit of
wears
community meme, but
Crocs.
just getting Sobek just dressed up and making him a crime boss.
'Cause
to go
there was
along with,
two options
Denbo
here.
and Kuzenbo just felt really fitting for him. And here he is with his very nice fashion. He's got some jewelry going on, his sunglasses, his hat. He's chilling.
Yeah, that's a Croc living his best life, 100%. I don't know how else to say it. And look at it, he's got his friends along with him. They
Those
look-
are
We
his
need a
henchmen?
steal his look post from
Oh my God,
Smite
yes.
Game. Where can I buy that outfit,
True.
baby? I need to know.
Yeah, if anybody wants to throw that at us, or we'll get it out as
Just
well.
someone needs to track down Anatoly for where we get that outfit.
Yeah. Look at the drip. That is so good.
I don't like
Oh my
it.
gosh. He's got
don't
the drip.
like it.
He's absolutely got the drip.
That jacket is incredible.
Okay, someone needs to make that jacket though, because come on, the gold on the back with the Croc, that's so
Nice.
sick.
I would wear
Does
that.
nothing for me.
If I knew how to make things, I would wear that on the update show, next update show.
I like those pants with that subtle pattern. Like, that's my style. I think I could pull those off.
Truly a Croc that knows what's going on in life.
Probably not.
Probably not. Oh. All right, let's hear the Croc's voice line.
Everyone wants to be a part of my gang. You think you got what it takes?
Hey, I'm walking here.
I definitely don't got what it takes. But is that all right? I need the rotation to go one more time. It looks like that's a giant switchblade almost. Like it kind of has that handle that maybe I'm wrong, but it looked very switchblade.
No, it's got that feel to it.
Yeah,
for
a
sure.
little bit,
But it's
okay.
supposed to have a crime boss inspiration, So
Yeah.
that would make sense.
So also, I wonder how hard it is to get a pair of pants tailored with a Croc tail hole.
It doesn't
Anyway,
look like he tailored it at all.
We spent
true. You just made it work.
They all got to be custom tailored, which he would do anyway because he's that swag.
Exactly. So again, this skin is about the money, and our design team definitely put that influence in. So
They
you'll see
always
that
are
if you play
dandy.
this in game. Next up is Honorable Machina Tier, another Heavenly Light skin. Oh, that's so good. The Jade is immaculate.
could be cool.
Very
Yes.
new type of armor set. Like you mentioned, the Jade, which is funny that it's coming out with the Jade
Right.
patch. I
Had
don't
to
think that
laugh.
was intentional.
Had to laugh there.
We have this ancient mech type of theme that we kind of ideated ourselves here at Hi-Res Studios that includes a lot of more fantasy and stone and metal that doesn't feel as futuristic. And man, Tyr he's got a really big silhouette with a lot of places to show off cool armor, which
Yeah.
works really well for this skin.
Yeah, that is absolutely sick. I love the contrast, by the way, of those like nice pops of the bright yellowy orange. It's like a perfect complement there to
Think
that
I
like
hate
jade,
it.
bluish green kind of metal popping out of there. That's so sick.
I feel like it's a very big new twist on the ancient mech line, which they don't usually have as much color in there. It's usually a little bit more stone metal.
I think this is my least favorite one so far. I don't know what it is about it. This is like
that's great.
From the lost hand to the orb and the sword.
Yeah,
you're
it's
totally
noisy.
Right. It's just,
yeah,
there's
like a lot happening.
It's really great to look at.
And I don't know if I like
Let
any
the
of it.
ancients lead us to victory.
Nope, not funny.
Yeah, not funny. Not haha rabbit.
Only you tier mains will get that one.
Yeah. All right, so the last of the new skins coming out in 9.4 with the Heavenly Light event is going to be Bionic Demon Gilgamesh.
This is a brand new theme, new style, higher tier skin. This is a big one.
So
what he's got, very new.
We're combining demons
some
and robots together.
Really
so we've had the robot skins, we've had the demon skins.
Mech
so now we're doing
hybrid.
demon robot, okay.
Which is incredible.
The two most popular themes in Smite, put them together.
God,
how did we not think of this sooner?
I mean, he's just got chainsaws on chainsaws on chainsaws. And can I say, for playing this skin in playtests, his auto attack sound is perhaps the most satisfying sound I have heard in game. It's got the like revving of the chainsaw, like so good, man.
Nice. And he looks great. And he feels great to play. Confirmed by Lermy. You know that's a high review right there.
Yeah, that is high remarks. And I can definitely follow up with what you said about those sounds because the sound team they told me they're like, listen, we cannot stress enough how excited we were to really work in those chainsaw sounds to make it as appealing and kind of rough too. They wanted that gritty chainsaw like demon mech noises, and they really did that and really worked hard for it.
So he's got an entirely new dropkick ability animation, and an entirely new intro for God Lobby and entering into the game.
That's exactly right.
That is dope. I love when we do that.
You might see those extra appendages come in for the dropkick. Might propel him forward to kick you even harder in the face.
Oh,
so
well, he's got them. He's got to use them.
Exactly right. They're not there for nothing. Let's go ahead and hear the voice line.
Sometimes you just can't choose if you want to impale your foes or blast them away with missiles. I can do both.
Are we spinning faster or like?
That's a man confident in
am
his
I
ability
getting
to rip you
sicker?
asunder.
Yeah.
And
Are we?
He's Gilgamesh. He knows
Are we
he can do it.
spinning?
True.
quicker?
It's well
A
practiced.
few more nerfs there, buddy, and we'll see if you're still that confident.
Yeah, true. We'll see if you still have that much life in your voice lines. So that's going to be it for 9.4
just the whole room
regular
spinning?
update. Now, because we're in this new schedule, the way it's working with bonus updates is brand new, we're actually going to move ahead and show off the 9.4 bonus skins. So these are going to be live a little bit later, May 3rd, obviously not next week with the original update. But we want to go ahead and show them off to y'all. You know, we have a lot of cool stuff, and
the spinning
I missed my chance to
unironically
show
makes
off
me
Goose Yorm here on the show, and I'm not going to happen again.
Not even a
because
joke. Like,
all of
actually
these skins that we make are
makes me very
fantastic. So these are more Heavenly Light event skins that will be coming out with 9.4 bonus again May 3rd, and the first of which is going to be Haunted Nightmare Chernobog.
Oh, he's sick.
Oh.
This is like my favorite theme, by the way. Can we just put that out there? We need to make more of this because right here, I'm playing Chernobog for this.
Death Knights. Yeah, very fitting to Chernobog, and I love that we get to show everything here at once. You know, you'll be able to see on the patch notes what's going to come out later, what's going to come out right away. But ooh, look at those wing effects.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So sick.
That to me is way more
Yeah.
appealing than.
As if Chernobog wasn't like
previous one
scary
for
enough. That's just a theme that he does so well with, is kind of any aspect of horror.
Yo,
Regardless
does he have a
of how it's
badonkadonk,
approached,
or is he just
really fits
got
it
is his
so
back
well.
arch?
I like the armor
I
a
like
lot.
that
how
way
they were able
more
to
than
keep
I
him
like
feeling
the
light
demon
and lean
mech
and
skin.
agile, even though he's
It's
like
got
fully
like
armored
big,
a
like
knight, he
almost
still
like
feels
Lord of the
like,
Rings
you know,
Sauron
he can move,
vibe.
Yeah.
he can
which is cool.
dive, dodge like Chernobog loves to do. He's
Look
gonna
at
be
that.
out there.
Does
looking
he-
good
does
on
he
the
got a-
battlefield.
Yeah, he's got the
He's
three
got
S's
some-
that make it
he's-
cool.
he's
skin,
got
at least
some
in my
thick
mind. He's got
ass
the
armor,
skulls,
dude. Look
the
at that.
spikes, and the souls.
Wow.
He does.
You heard that? The three S's of good God design.
I like
that,
it.
you
You
got
learned it
that
here
big
first.
butt
So
plate,
let's hear the
dude.
voice line.
This battlefield is missing something. Perhaps all it needs is a little carnage to feel complete.
Yep.
Missing a little carnage, but it looks like he has it in droves. So super excited for that. The second skin coming in the 9.4 bonus Heavenly Light event release will be the Demon Puncher Mercury skin.
Okay, second favorite theme. Very close.
Very
very close. I love that we're making this like canon of like this school of demon hunters between like the Circuit and the Bologna. Like,
I feel like
that
these-
is just, oh yeah, and Morrigan
Yeah.
too is the teacher.
Well,
That's
we'll
so
see how it looks
fun.
in game. We'll see.
And
how it
now
looks
it's finally time to introduce the male god into that lineup.
God, I was.
True.
Yeah. This
So
has
heavy
always
anime
happened. I
inspiration
didn't
here,
want to
but with,
jinx it,
some
so I didn't say
demon-acquired
anything.
power-ups attached to his
But
arms,
it just
and,
never works.
you can see
It
that even
never
built into his
works,
anatomy
man.
a little bit,
I
his
tried
face.
not to.
So
I almost
maybe
said
he's
it,
using
and then
a
I
bit of
stopped
the
myself, and
power
I
of
was
the
like,
demons
maybe
against them, right?
they
The
could figure it
defense of the
out.
dark arts, you've
The
got to
theme
learn
just
how to- you gotta
doesn't
learn
work in
your
Smite.
opponent
They always
in order
look
to take them down.
so
Yeah, he's punching the
dumb.
demons, so
Yeah.
clearly he knows what's
Oh, we
up.
did a Mulan skin that I think was kind of in this
Oh,
theme too, but she was
true.
more like a true villain as opposed to one of the
Yeah, she
the
was,
classmates.
she was
Students,
corrupted
yeah.
by
Yeah,
him,
which was
yeah.
cool.
Instead of the puncher of the demons. So
So go out there with Mercury.
It's one of
play
those
against the
things that
Mulan
works
skin
in
for
like the
full
2D
thematic
splash
effect.
art,
Yeah.
and once they make it 3D,
maximum
I just
demon punching. And another cool thing
It
about
always makes
this,
me
and,
cringe.
I love this note. Somebody specifically came up and said, they're like, listen, this is just an example of how our designers are always looking for the chance to sneak a guitar or guitar sound.
This is like
into Smite.
like
And that's
that
something that you're gonna
skin
see with
is
some of the
significantly
audio with
worse
this
than like the
particular
actual
skin, which is- I'm
factual
super excited
cosplayers
for,
that
'cause I
have
love
to
when they
literally
do
make
that.
things
Mercury
in
is just
real
such
life.
a fun god. You, can
You know what I'm
do
saying?
Over the
Like, in
over the
real
top stuff
life,
that, and it just
they have to
feels perfect
build
for him
things.
because he's already so over the top.
And they
So
come out
I'm
looking
sure
so
that's a
much
great,
cooler than that.
entire presentation where it all comes together.
Super excited for it. Let's hear the voice line.
Join the hunt? Well, you better not slow me down.
Nothing personal, kid.
Yeah, he's the bad boy. That's right.
I've already beaten you.
Yeah.
Very edgy. All right, so the final skin coming in the 9.4 bonus update is going to be part of the old one's chest, and this is Abyssal Slayer Onhur.
Oh my gosh.
So
Okay. He's
Yeah.
so scary.
Mercury, come punch, please.
Took the Cthulhu factor and turned it up to 11 here, and Honor is just a great god for
Sup,
making
bro?
crazy, creepy monsters. Like we
Yeah.
did
I
the
found all
Odin
the
demon in
eyes
the
that were
last one, which
missing
was
from
really
the
different, really
from the
unique.
angel
So
Zeus skin
just finding
earlier
that
for
we can
our
do some really
biblical
cool stuff with this god. So
representation.
it's a unique silhouette and body type. So you got the big ol' eye, the tentacles,
Wow.
the jowls, the spikes,
That
the jaws.
thing
and,
is
yeah,
absolutely
he's pretty spooky out there.
The whole 9 yards.
horrifying.
Not enough eyes. I don't think.
Wow.
Were those eyes on his knees?
Yeah, he's got eyes.
That's an
thigh
ugly
eyes.
boy.
His name is
It's
Zeus skin, but his
good. That's a
whole head is
good
just an
skin.
eye.
He
Sure,
is
I
I
love
mean,
that
this is
one.
pretty close
filthy.
to that, right? That is one big ol' eye.
That
I
is-
feel like since we did Cthulhu, our whole dark eldritch themes have just keep
Wow.
going up in quality because the whole team
Yeah.
is just like, oh yeah, we know the assignment now. We're just gonna go far with it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them an A+ for that one.
Yeah, I'm excited for the day that we get to the point where
That's a
the
cool
skin is just an eyeball. That's it, just one eyeball. So
God, he
let's
ugly,
hear the
man.
voice line.
He gotta wreck your day.
This world has so many potent
Look at that spear,
minds.
dude.
I will
Imagine getting that
enjoy
spear thrown at
bending
you.
each and
What?
every one of them until they break.
You're triple dead.
Got a lot of villains. in this.
Yeah, I
Quadrupenta
was about to
dead.
say.
You ain't living.
Mercury has his work cut out for
Yeah,
him.
he's gonna be busy.
I think you're never gonna get
Lot of
pulled out of you,
punching to
even
do.
if you did live.
So
Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
that is going to be the last skin for the 9.4 bonus update. Again, that'll be coming out. That's not next week's patch. That's not next Tuesday. That'll be in
They
May,
all
I
have
believe,
the
May
same
3rd,
voice
so
pack.
keep an eye
Every
out for
skin
that.
has
You
the
can look
same
at all
voice
those
pack.
skins on
No,
the
don't pay
9.4,
attention to the voice packs. They
update
only have
notes. There's
one
no more
voice
bonus
pack.
blogs. It'll be on update notes, so you can check out all
And
of
it's
that
heavily
there.
edited
And
into
just super
oblivion.
cool stuff. A lot of really cool stuff. So now, of course, is the time for us to get to the big thing, the exciting new thing, our new god, Yu Huang. Check out this.
For eons, I have governed heaven and earth. Man or god, each is heard. Their anger, their pain, and in their time of need, I rise. So when the day comes that they ascend to the heavens, the rewards that await are not of silver or gold, but jade.
How exciting! Oh,
So crazy.
tingles every time. So Yu Huang, a brand new addition to Smite, joining the battleground again. Only 1 week, next Tuesday. I mean, less than a week. That's 6 days. That's incredible.
So soon.
So super excited to talk about this. Super excited to get into it. I mean,
I do like that the patch notes are closer to the patch.
Behind this choice?
I do think that was a good change.
I'll start with a little bit, and then I'll let Lermy explain some more. This is a god that's
6 days
been very
until
highly
the patch
requested from the Smash community for a long time. He's often considered the leader of the entire Chinese pantheon. He kind of crosses into multiple different mythologies. There's kind of Chinese folklore. There's also more Taoism, which we lean into a lot with this kit, which is really cool. It's a kind of entirely new mythology for us to explore. The Jade Emperor is often seen as the supreme sovereign, the leader of all of those gods. So definitely something we wanted to bring about to the game. We haven't had a mage since Morgan Le Fay last year. We've had every other class since then, actually.
June or July.
So it was due for that time for Yu Huang, and he's got a really interesting kit and a lot of interesting mythology. So Lermy can go ahead and give you a little bit more on his lore background as well as the goals for the general gameplay of the kit before we go and show off the kit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so quick rundown. Yu Huang was born into a noble family. He was a very benevolent guy. He would go around and make sure that everyone was doing okay, making sure that everyone was taken care of in his community. And so eventually he basically wanted to see how he could do more. And so one of the ways to do that was he needed to get attuned with Tao. And so Tao is basically kind of thought of as like the energy of the universe, how the balance of nature and man kind of interact with each other. And so he spent millions of years, millennia, meditating and getting attuned to the Tao to be able to
You ever done yoga for like 30
power,
minutes?
Basically. So as soon as he
didn't
felt like he was
meditate
ready,
for a million
he
years.
basically
No way.
left his meditation and then gained what is called golden immortality. So this basically is what created him as his godly status. And then after that, he basically was up in heaven doing a lot of good things for people. But eventually, this big bad demon lord came around, but the gods were not strong enough to defeat him. So Yu Huang once again needed to go back into meditation.
It only felt like a million years.
3,200 trials. That is 3,200 trials. And each of these trials, again, took millennia. So this guy took
billions.
A very, very long time to gain all of this power. But once he was finally complete, he had ascended to this status as the Jade Emperor. He came back, vanquished the demons, and basically saved the Chinese pantheon. So they all kind of collectively thought that he should become the emperor, the great sovereign. So again, that's kind of just how he attained that status. And then from then on out, he became in charge of heaven and had a lot of really interesting interactions.
So this guy's old. He's like really old.
Game. You'll see a lot about
He's like really
Wukong,
old.
Erlang Shen, Naja, Ao Kuang, all referenced in his voice lines in some way. So there's a lot of really fun, small little details that you'll see.
He's a mega boomer.
With a little bit of his
How
character.
he be billion years old if Earth only 14 years old?
That's just so cool, you know. I knew a little bit about
How he
Mulan
be
going into this, but the story
doesn't make any sense.
That's an incredible amount of time to spend meditating. I can barely wait for a burrito in the microwave. So this is amazing. Like, I love the look, the presentation, the lore is there. Do y'all want to hop in game and look at the kit?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the big point of.
That's what everyone's here to see.
Yeah, that's what we're
here
for.
to see. Well, let's do it.
Yeah, but if we're looking at him, how he's looking here,
he actually looks a lot like his card art.
Inspired a lot by very traditional Chinese emperors and how they presented themselves.
It actually looks very similar. Nice.
You know, have a little bit of back and forth.
You'll love when it looks similar because the card art's almost always perfect.
We eventually decided, okay, a little bit more fantasy feels right for Smite. So again, we still have a lot of references to really regal things and other like emperor status items. For instance, one of the biggest items that you'll see is his very special crown, which is called Mian.
Okay.
It has 12 beads on it, and so that is a very important number to emperors. It is basically representative of the 12 symbols of the emperor, so that can range from like dragons and phoenixes to other smaller natural things. And of course, you've got to check out this humongous, beautiful jade back piece, which
that is so amazing.
It perfectly symbolizes the balance between yin and yang, between the phoenix on the bottom there, and on the top we've got the dragon. And that just really shows how the emperor is in complete control of Tao and making sure that he is just ready to go at a moment's notice.
I want that back piece like as a center on the set, a centerpiece on the. That's so beautiful.
That would be sick. That would be really sick.
That's incredible.
So he's got the kind of the floating walk style, which we've used in a few gods like Hera and Thoth. It felt very fitting to him. We didn't really want him running. It's not very emperor-like. The beads also on his crown are symbolic and keeping
he is in fact walking on
to show the calm and grace of an emperor, whereas if he were to be hastily moving or clumsily moving, they would be shaking all over the place.
Yeah.
But they stay nice and gentle and smooth. And he moves that way as well. Very magical and
The back
very
piece seems
uplifting
kind of in
with
his way.
abilities,
Anything that
inspiring
does
to
the
his
floaty
teammates,
behind you
and
thing in
kind of a
Smite
mage kit that
always kind
rewards
of
you
ends
for
up being in
patience
the
a little bit to
Yes,
kind
for
of
sure.
really dial into the meditation themes of his
I'm
lore.
not gonna argue it's not lore
Any more
accurate or
general
whatever,
things
but
to add before we
in
go
terms
ahead
of
and just do
gameplay,
the full
always.
show?
Yeah, I guess just be
little-
ready for some references to a lot of these small things within his
Fucking
lore,
my
like
view.
again the Phoenix and the dragons. You'll be seeing some of them
Oh
soon.
yeah.
All right, well then let's see the kit.
Let's do it. Run the kit. That is so awesome.
Oh yeah.
God.
It's all coming together.
Fighting alongside with the dragon.
So
Yeah.
many things happen. Yeah, right. The dragon's presence is incredible.
A lot of it looked
All right, so
pretty
many things happen there.
standard.
Let's start to break
think
it
it
down.
was
Just
only his
starting with the
three
basic
that
attack.
looked
Let's start right at the
different.
beginning.
Yeah, so the basic attacks are pretty normal. He's actually manifesting his Dao into these like fiery, magical projectiles that he's shooting out. So there's not a whole lot going on with those that is especially special until we start getting into the passive, and that's where things get interesting.
Well, then let's get into the passive. Let's
You
not
can
keep
see
him
his
waiting.
passive
All right, so as you can
stacking.
see there, right above his character portrait, he does have this passive meter, and so you can see that it's lighting up a little bit. We'll get into the specifics of what it does, but you can see that Jade segment popped off on the side there. That's how
Yeah.
you know your passive is ready to go. So Yu Huang's passive is called Master of the Dao, and so how that works is you've got 12 segments in this passive meter.
Yeah.
Once you hit 6 segments, which you can gain and lose Dao by doing various things, your abilities and basic attacks become attuned. He becomes attuned to the Dao. So there's a lot of different effects that you'll see throughout the kit that change whether or not you are attuned. And the first one of those effects has to do with his basic attacks. So if you are ever over 6 Dao, your basic attacks will chain once to the nearest enemy. And they do reduced damage to that second
That's so
enemy.
awesome.
But it's pretty good for lane clear,
Okay.
pretty good
Yeah.
for jungle clear. It's just a nice little spicy thing to add to his basic attacks. And this happens whenever you're over 6 Dao. And it does not cost any Dao to use these auto attacks.
It's awesome that it works on both like enemy players, but also on the jungle camps and lane
Okay.
minions. That's awesome.
So very
So
auto
to go into a little bit
attacky.
more how you
Yeah.
actually gain this
Flavor
Dao,
on the
there are 2 ways
passive.
to gain it through your passive, and then a couple of other ways throughout his kit. But the first way is you just get one every 15 seconds. So every 15 seconds, you will see that he will get 1 more Dao. The second way is if you take a look at the passive meter, there's a nice big Jade emblem in the middle. You can see it's glowing right now.
Yeah.
But if you hit someone or you are hit, it goes off. You only get 1 Dao though if you hit someone from out of combat. So if you're not fighting anyone for 3 seconds, you haven't hit or been hit within 3 seconds, you will get 1 more Dao.
Okay. Cool. So it's kind of a resource management, kind of something you have to watch out for and pay attention to. And I'm sure that'll affect other abilities. So let's get right into them with ability 1, Flames of the
Fine.
Phoenix.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting take on a poke tool. This is a brand new shape. Never seen this shape before.
Ooh.
It's got an X and a circle. So you can see here with this targeter, the first thing that's going to happen is where all those arrows are on that X,
Yeah.
you're going to have cinders spawn there. And those are going to be pretty nice pillars of flame. They're going to all collide together in the center. And when that happens, there's a big explosion and then a field of fire right in that center circle area.
And the symbol of the Phoenix.
And the Phoenix, I was about to say, pops up right in the center.
Yeah, so that actually lets you know when the ability is attuned. So if you were to ever
Really?
get above 6 Dao, when you fire it, an enemy will know that it has been attuned when you see that Phoenix. So normally, no Phoenix attuned, there is a Phoenix in there.
Got
and
it.
to kind of talk a little bit more about how the damage is
it's
broken down on this one.
kind of a
if
circle,
you
right?
if you get hit by the projectile of the cinders coming to the center, that's a little bit of damage. There's an explosion coming from when all of them collide. And then there's a burn coming from that field of flames.
It's kind of a circle.
And if you're attuned, you'll also have your magical protections reduced.
Yes, so if you step into that explosion,
It's like
the
30
explosion
damage
is
from the
what is
X
actually
part.
doing the protection reduction. If you are just in the burn and you don't get hit by that initial explosion, your protections are just the same.
Got it. Yeah, and it consumes your Dao to hit them
Okay.
with. That's awesome.
Yes,
So
so
don't
every
worry, don't
ability that
worry about
does
the
take
X.
Dao takes 6 Dao. So you'll always know that you can do at least 2 abilities if
Yeah.
you're at full. There are, again, still more ways to get back Dao. So if you happen to be weaving in basic attacks, staying in and out of combat, and doing those kind of actions, you can get to, you know,
It's like a
3
Baba
abilities
Yaga
enhanced
potion.
during
Little
the fight.
delay,
It just
circle
really
pop.
depends on
Exactly.
the player that's going to be doing it and how
Yeah.
well they've mastered
Circle
attuning to the
pop.
Dao.
I love when the theme of the actual god plays in the kit so much, and that'll be really cool to see both in those really heated team fights where you're just gonna have to choose what 2 abilities do I want to use my Dao on, but also and you know the poke game, because you can really be concise about when you throw your auto attacks and you use that Dao to play into maybe poking your opponent out of lane. That's really cool.
If you pace yourself, take your time, reset, build that Dao back up before the next fight, you're going to be a lot more effective than if you just come in there and attack.
Yeah. So really, I mean, again, have to exercise that patience, that emperor-like patience.
Well, ability 2 is going to make you also want to be patient if you're going to want to get its full effect.
Let's get
I
into
get
ability 2,
circle.
Dao cultivation.
So in this one, this is really the biggest point where you can gain the most Dao at once. So Dao cultivation is basically a charging ability, and the longer that you stay in it, the more Dao that you get up to a cap. So you can see there the targeter is grayed out, and once it gets colored in, that's when you've gotten your first Dao. But there's a lot of nice visual and audio sound effects that are going to be coming in to let you know when you've gained your cap of 6 Dao per ability cast. You can see actually in his passive meter that the slots start filling up red.
Yeah.
So that starts showing you how much Dao you will gain when you fire it. You cannot get any Dao unless you fire it. So for instance, if you were to get canceled out of it, you wouldn't lose the cooldown, you wouldn't lose the mana, you would just need to charge up again to get the full amount of Dao. But you can fire it early. You don't have to sit there and wait for the Dao to gain all the way up to 6. You can fire it early. There is a slight bit of reduced damage if you fire it too early though, so you want to make sure you're holding on to it for just the right amount of time before sending it off.
Yeah.
If you fire it before 1 second, you're going to get the reduction. If you wait the full 3 seconds, that's when you get all the Dao. Or you can just keep it charged and just kind of hold it for the right time.
Exactly.
And then this ability is going to do damage in the center narrow projectile area. Then the projectile itself, its wake of energy explodes out, causing a second effective damage.
Little double proc, yep.
Rooting.
They do in fact look like lane
so this
clear.
is also what his primary CC.
Yes, he's got a slow on the center rectangle, and on the outside is a root. So really the slow is just there to help you guarantee the root. If you hit that really thin skill shot, you will almost certainly guarantee the root unless they're on the very edge of the outer rectangle.
Okay.
And again, I love Jade as a look, it's just so pleasing to me personally, and the amount of it that's worked into these abilities. I mean, the green in that like center projectile before it erupts is just so pleasing to look at. That is such an aesthetic ability. Like all utility and amazing usage aside, I just looking at it, somebody will hit me and they'll be like, "Ow, that hurt!" But
I am curious to see his 3. That seems to be his most interesting ability. So he's got a circle. He's got a line. Circle. Circle has an X on it.
It has a very different feel, very different look. It handles
line
very
blow up
differently than
twice.
Pretty much anything we've done in Smite before.
yeah, and it's definitely one that stands out from the others. That's ability 3, Celestial Flight. So let's see some Celestial Flight.
Yes, so in this ability, Yu Huang's actually going to be calling down, I guess calling up the Pearl Dragon from beneath him.
Yeah.
And this use of the Pearl Dragon is actually really interesting as it ties into his lore, because there's a very popular story about the 4 dragons of the rivers in Chinese mythos and how they came to be. So this is like that origin story kind of mixed in here. So the Pearl Dragon was really the first dragon to call upon the Emperor when the people were thirsty, in need of water. There was a big drought. And so the Pearl Dragon went to the Jade Emperor and said, hey, we need water for the people. And the Jade Emperor said, okay, well, I can get to that soon. I have a lot of other imperial duties that I have to get to. But eventually the dragons just went and did it themselves, and Yu Huang was not too pleased with them going over his imperial authority. So to punish them, he basically changed the 4 dragons into the 4 major Chinese rivers.
Huh. That's really cool.
Yeah,
well,
so the one that we have featured in the game is the Pearl Dragon of the Pearl River.
Yeah.
And yeah, look at that. I mean, the Pearl Dragon coming out of the ground, lifting him straight on up and coming on down as well. So what you're seeing here is the attuned effect of this ability, where the Pearl Dragon actually comes back down with you and kind of swoops around there on the ground and knocks people away.
What this is actually a slow-moving self-banish and untarget ability. So it's kind of like a juke more than a leap. You get a relatively long window of untargetability.
It's like a really long Chonga
but you don't really
2,
gain that much extra distance or speed.
Yeah.
You cannot use this to go over walls either, but you can use it to escape player-made walls.
Yes.
And then upon landing, he's going to deal bonus damage, just damage in that circle, and with the attuned effect, you're going to get damage and a knockback.
You can see that knockup right there.
yeah.
And another small piece of control that's actually super cool about this ability is if you're up in the air, you're actually able to refire it by pressing the button again or by left clicking to go down faster. So you have complete control of how much time you spend in the air, whether that's the max amount, whether that's the minimum amount, or somewhere in between. Whenever you need to get back down, you're gonna be able to.
Yeah, that's awesome for both.
That's a pretty decent distance that you're untargetable for,
defensively,
man.
right? 'Cause if you're trying to,
That's like
use
give or
some
take
doubt, get that
40% of
knockup,
the
then
mid
you can
lane.
really just rain down on your enemies. But if you're
That's
like,
a
all right, I gotta get out of
pretty
here, or
nice,
just put up a
safe
wall,
ability
you just
right
kinda
there.
Glide right over and enjoy the max duration of that immunity. That's really cool to see.
We're
And just,
beginning
again,
your descent
very
now
athletically
into the
using
mid
that
lane.
dragon
If you look over to your right-hand side, you're gonna see the Pearl Dragon surrounding the Jade Emperor as he gets ready to go ahead and use his abilities on an unsuspecting Loki player.
You see out of like Chang'e to or Robin to. It's definitely going to be used in that way.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how it's used because, again, just such a powerful ability even just to look at. So that moves us, of course, to the ult, which I'm super excited about us getting a closer look at. This ult is called Dueling Dragons.
And that they do. When you use his ultimate ability, Yu Huang summons the Pearl Dragon once more, but he also creates a dragon out of his own Dao. So you'll see here how there's two different dragons showing up. The one that's next to him is made out of this beautiful jade.
there we
It's
go.
shiny and sparkling.
That's
it's
cool.
gorgeous. The art team absolutely knocked it out of the park with this thing. I am so impressed with how that mission looks. But yeah, you got your two dragon buddies, and you basically have a hinged line targeter. So how this works is the faraway dragon from you, the Pearl Dragon, doesn't actually move, but what you can do is you can aim the line in different directions, and yeah, just, I mean, look at that.
That's amazing.
That's so sick. He's scary, but he's also cool.
The, like,
Also
power stance.
CC immune.
Yeah, right. The
Man's got
sparkling effect
CC
is
immunity for
incredible, too.
days.
Just
I mean-
that shimmering.
The profile of the dragons too, like that is just awesome. And you can see here they're gonna crash together, and then a big explosion at the end.
Oh, that's cool. They kind of like fade as they finish their fight. That's awesome. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so if you're hit with this ability on either line, you will get pushed to the center, wherever that center may be. So you'll see there that circle is where they'll end up. And that circle's not always there. So if you are spread apart or you pull the lines too far apart, they do have a max distance that each of them go, but you start pretty well within it. So if you want that extra explosion damage, you can have it, but you're not stuck to that like straight line that you had. You can always turn around, move around, do whatever you need to do, and make one really long line of push if you absolutely wanted to.
That's really awesome.
So you can push people toward him and push away from him with this. And you know, we've always wanted to experiment with an ability that spawns something further away that comes back to you.
Yeah.
We've never really done that before. So here you can get this ultimate. You get a lot of either long
It is
range
very
throws,
interesting,
you can
for
control,
sure.
You could kind of pluck someone out of
Yeah.
the
Very
opposing lineup
interesting.
and hit it well. You can also
That-
use it to peel through.
that
So
poor
someone
ability
throws
is gonna
right
be
on your
missed
face, you can
by
use it to
most
face,
people.
You can use them to push them
I'll
away.
tell you right
They're
now,
gonna
that
take extra
ability
explode
is
damage as well.
already too
And
difficult
it's
for
like,
most players.
can also kind of function as just
It's
a
cool,
ranged
though.
skill shot where you have some very interesting angles on it that you don't normally get on a mage.
Yeah, as for showing up here, one of the ways that a lot of playtesters have been using it is to push their opponent out of their tower. So if you're hiding into the tower against Yu Huang, you better be ready for this one.
Right, you aren't safe there. You do have a significant amount of time where the dragon will spawn before it can fire, so if you go ahead and move perpendicularly to him to try to evade it, you can certainly do that. There's a lot of reactivity time. But we give Jade Emperor a little bit of time here where he can choose where he's aiming it, but it will force him to refire. You cannot cancel this.
Yeah.
Once you enter the state, you're gonna shoot it. So it's just up to you to make that count in the time you have before the ability.
He's got like 3 seconds
Yeah,
to
so the one
CC
last thing to
immunity
talk
in his
about with this
kit.
ability is what happens when it's attuned. So when Yu Huang is attuned and uses Dueling Dragons, he gets to have a wider projectile. So the path
Maybe
of the,
more, maybe 4
the dragon's
seconds.
stake rather is wider, and pretty significantly so.
Yeah.
So if you would like to push more people, hit more people with this, then by all means,
that is easier to
before you
hit.
use it. And,
That line is much thicker.
From the passive can affect.
That
the basic
ability just
attacks,
became a
the
lot
1,
easier
the
to
3,
hit.
And the 4, and the 2 is also a drain. So you consume it upon
They heard
firing
me.
this as well. Everything gets consumed.
They heard me talking about how it was too hard for most players.
yeah, it's all part of the
I made it easier. They got you guys got it.
3 ways to gain it, 3 ways to use it.
That's
Big
incredible.
line.
Just to see that utility throughout the entire kit, it gives you so much to work with, so many different ways you can handle using Thou for attuning your abilities. Like I'm excited to see this.
That was the fastest stream Smite game
with this, or shoot, you could even just throw it out there and push a tank off to the side. You know, you have a clear shot at their damage. It's just so many different ways you can use this. It's going to be incredible to see this, and I love seeing the community take somebody with as many options available to them as this new god here, as Yu Huang, and make up new plays. And you know, I think we're going to see a lot of that with this. Oh, that's incredible.
I'm just so excited to see what people can do.
How nice does it make me do that?
This has been a really awesome experience for me, having the ability to design such an awesome god bridge. This is my first one. Like, I can't even express like how insane this turned out. Like, the art team nailed it, the programming team nailed it, the tech art team.
It'll be interesting to see how his damage feels, just because like the whole game is gonna change so much in the damage department that there's not even really a good way to tell.
Yeah.
Even if we were to look at his numbers, it wouldn't even mean anything, because like there were so many damage.
It's a really magical moment to see your first god design come to life. I mean, so magical that some people even wear a sweatshirt that has that god on it forever. So, wait, are we
you will not be able to Wheelix him.
Yeah, there's so many color skins we can look at.
CC,
but yeah, I mean, let's congratulate. Congratulations, that is super exciting. I know there are so many people that work on these, but I mean, you're here with us today, and I just have to shout out your first one. So.
Yeah, it's so incredible, honestly. I remember playing this game and coming home from school every day, being really excited to watch Hinduman and Adonis on the SPL cast, and like, I'm here.
His 3 is in fact literally cherry 3, but in the air instead of in the
think you're gonna get
that
a
is
level
not
10
wrong.
probably, or?
Oh, that's not it. It's not a question.
His ultimate's even similar.
Day off for it, obviously.
Are you asking me if I'm getting the new God Diamond?
They're actually kind of
You
similar.
know, just
She'll make it happen.
question. Oh yeah, I know. It'll be like what? I'll be 3 a.m. I'll see a Twitter post that was like day 1. So you are a monster with that. It's always incredible to me. Yeah. So we also have the mastery skins available. So and you know, all the other skins that we'll be releasing with it. So let's hop into that. We'll start off with Rising Thou Yu Huang, which is going to be the standard recolor released with it.
All right. This card art has a really cool story behind it. So
Ooh, lay it on us.
Once upon a time, Yu Huang had a daughter, and so this daughter wanted to go visit Earth, and so one day she did. She came down from the heavens and went to take a bath in a river. But a cowherd came along, and this cowherd fell instantly in love with her. So he took her magical robes that allowed her to go back to heaven, so she could no longer go back to heaven. But one day, Yu Huang found out about this, and he was pretty mad about it.
Yeah.
But, you know, his daughter was happy. His daughter was in love. They eventually got married, so he permitted it for the time. But one day, Yu Huang's daughter got curious, found the robe, went back to heaven, and as soon as she came back to heaven, Yu Huang created the Milky Way galaxy as a river in the sky. And that is the river that you're seeing here that's keeping her
take a bath.
away from her cowherd husband.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It is beautiful art.
Yeah, that is incredible. He does look pretty
That's
mad,
it?
too.
And he looks like he's going to
can
have
make
a
your bathtub
teal
here.
green
No,
type
no,
of,
no, no.
As opposed to his
gotta
base
be a
clothing
river.
is very white and beige, but with jade accents. But this is actually, you know, the cloth is jade as well
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
recolor. And this will be
Earth
the one
got
that'll
the
be
baths,
purchasable
baby.
through favor.
Yeah. So it'll come out. Oh, and that looks good.
He's kind of looking like Ao Kwang there. I kinda
Oh,
like
yes,
the
it does
little
remind me like
reference
Al
there,
Kwang. I like
yeah.
that. It's like a little nod to him. The darker twist. So he's got the reds and the blue-greens on the clothing as you see the
So the
the way
Jade
the light
Emperor
hits
is
it adds
canonically
so much. You can see
old
the details and all the
stinky.
patterning. Man, it really stands out.
It really does. One important thing to note, though, that I do want to
yes.
pull here is
Daughter's
that the
like,
dragons
yo, do you
in
think we
this
should
skin
like
and the upcoming
bathe
Ascendant
or
skin that we're gonna
something?
look at,
He's
they're
like,
also recolored.
no.
So nice little big bonus there for anyone who does get this skin and
Okay,
the Ascendant
Dad.
skin. You're gonna have.
I'm
some
gonna
nice
go
looking
check out a
dragons as
river
well.
real quick.
Yeah, and we actually we have a Yu Huang voice line that we can hear with this. So let's go ahead and hear that.
Evil has taken hold of this land. It shall be rooted out and expelled by my hand.
The voice actor for this, Corey Yee, did such an amazing job. He's also in a bunch of other skins that we have in Smite, but this is his first time as a god, which is so incredible. One of the most notable skins that he's done is Iroh Bacchus. So
Oh, wow.
Iroh, now the Jade Emperor as well.
That's
really
a skilled
big
voice actor right
Big
there.
hitters, yeah.
He
And
has
it
some
sounds
unfinished
incredible too. Like
business
you
with
definitely
Hebo, so,
you hear the
okay, it's like a
conviction
pride
and
thing.
that calmness, that steadiness
I
in the
got
voice.
you.
So it's super impressive voice acting job and a super great skin. Yeah, let's check out. I mean, like you said, let's check out the Ascended Yu Huang.
I'm a big fan of this one. I love purple.
I agree.
So it looks really great on him. And we have the meditation pose, which I think is very fitting. We definitely wanted to get that into one of the card arts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is from when he went to go do his trials in the cave, the 3200 trials that each took millions of years. Yeah, that's him doing that right now.
That is so awesome. The lore, like, that's another thing that I love. Every time we get to do one of these, you just
I mean, he's aesthetically cool.
So nice.
This one.
He's aesthetically cool.
Yeah, this might
His
be the
kit
winner.
Yeah.
The
seems
purples and the
fine
pinky tones there. And
in
the
terms of
blue
like
with
its
the black
coolness.
Too. I mean,
It's like fine.
That's all winners.
I love all those
Striking.
highlights. Like the clouds, how they stand out. They kind of like shine a little
I
more.
wasn't personally
Absolutely
hyped
glorious. Striking, I
for
think
the
is the
Jade
best way to
Emperor
say it.
because I just didn't
Cool.
know.
All right, so
I just
obviously
didn't
we
know
also
anything
have the
about Jade
mastery
Emperor
skins for
personally, so I just
Yu Huang. So let's.
didn't have
So
anything
pretty.
exciting there for
And
your
once
boy,
again,
but
this has another lore reference of him summoning the dragon from the river. So
Yeah.
again, the
yeah,
dragon's
see
coming
the
right on
Looks
out
fine.
of the river. And being shown off on the card art.
Yeah.
it looked a
story is
little
hidden for you
janky
in
and
so
how
many
it
different
flowed
places.
together.
You
It
know
did
what
look
to
a
look
little
for.
janky.
Literally everything we've seen has
But
been like.
it's hard to
more
tell whether
the-
that's just like because the
So-
PTS servers are
We
janky.
really, you
or
know, he
like-
has a lot.
could be like
of
a stream
text
fed.
written about
It's
him.
hard to
The
tell
lore is
sometimes
incredible.
till you,
There's so
like,
much.
actually
Just
play
the
it.
journey to the west alone is an extremely long epic tale where Jade Emperor is mentioned hundreds, thousands of times in it.
Yeah.
So, as well as tons of other folklore stories and even ones that blur into actual history for the Jade Emperor. So we really tried to draw on as many of those as we could.
And it shows. I think that it shows all over the kit and the design.
The gold and blue. Oh, the black.
Oh my
the
goodness.
black. That's always so good to look at.
And his Jade remaining Jade, because that just fits a
It's
lot better
so
than turning it
stunning
gold
with
or
the
something.
contrast. So nice. I mean, you really can't replace the Jade in
No.
Jade Emperor. So it's got to be there, but it
Yeah.
looks so nice.
I was about to say,
The,
yeah.
the Jade, the smaller Jade elements on his armor was also left away from the mastery recoloring, which I think was a wise choice.
And it's going to be me on
bold,
Tuesday.
yeah, there you are. That's,
True. On, you know, okay, I think it'll be like probably Wednesday at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, probably. I don't think I'll be able to
I
get
still
it
think
that
his
fast.
You'll
floating,
have it down one day. I think
Hopefully
like 2
it's
or 3 more
floating
gods.
Jade
too.
boy might get a little
Yeah.
What a patch show, huh?
What a patch show. Oh my
interesting, a
gosh.
little irritating.
So yeah, I'm thirsty. That was a
Yeah,
lot of
floating
talking.
behind
I'm
you,
gonna
but we'll
sound
see.
like a frog tomorrow, and that was all worth it. And I love doing every second of it. Thank y'all for coming out. What an incredible amount of content that we just went over. You know, I mean, between the nerfing, between you know the cool new content coming, between our amazing streamers, different accessories that are coming into the game, and all those skins. I just check out the patch notes. You know, you're gonna see all kinds of content in there. I mean, all
And
that
don't
stuff
forget the
we
new
went over.
schedule. PTS this Friday, live next Tuesday.
Yes, so
that
it'll
soon.
be.
It's going to be so
Yeah,
Be able
well-
to play all this stuff very soon.
Yeah, and you know, keep an eye on Twitter. We have a new schedule that we're working with now, and we've talked about it a little bit. There's a blog out about it right now, but we'll be releasing, you know, more info to make sure that everybody knows exactly what this schedule looks like. And we're super excited to share it with y'all. So
I mean,
thank y'all all for coming out. Look out for
they took a large swing at the Smite meta with all of the nerfs and stuff, and apparently they're doing a bunch more conquest changes, which I think will also be very important. I honestly have no idea how the game is going to feel after the patch with that many small changes. Seems to be the right idea. So we'll see how that goes. In combination, I think